12 Conference Football is brought to you by Dr. Pepper and your local Dr. Pepper bottler. By Southwest Airlines with low fares on every flight, every seat, every day. And by Citgo. Look for the sign of quality throughout Big 12 countries. Citgo says go. Burrow Field starting to fill up. The Kansas Jayhawks and the Missouri Tigers. The Tigers have not knocked off the Jayhawks since 1992. Along with Steve Davis and Brian Nooner, I'm Drew Goodman. Let's get our Southwest Airlines keys to the game. First, Steve, for the Jayhawks.
Well, it's absolutely essential. Exploit Missouri's defense. Later in the game, they'll get more youthful as they go on because of injuries. The lack of speed and pass rush, challenge it. And then secondly, challenge them physically. When Missouri struggled, it's because someone's taken it to them. And then thirdly, create and sustain momentum. That's been the struggle for the University of Kansas. For Missouri, manage the big play. Bird and Henley are prolific. Really control them. Corby Jones's execution in the option game is essential. Make sure he works on the perimeter. And then finally, Missouri's got to give 60 minutes of team execution. They have not been consistent in 96 doing it.
All right, Steve, thank you. Last year, 42-23, KU and Lawrence won. They broke open a close game in the second half. We're back to kick it off in a moment. And we're about set to play. Kansas won the toss. They deferred to the second half. So Jeff McCord will kick it deep to either Kenyatta Williams, number 6, or number 32, Devin West on the right of your screen. The 105th matchup underway. And this is in the direction of West, 3 yards deep. He wanted to come out, but Kenyatta Williams was going to tackle him if he did. So Missouri will start at the 20-yard line. Corby Jones, a sophomore quarterback, is a guy who's 216 pounds, and he's probably more dangerous in the passing game when he pulls it down and runs with the football. He's matured quite a bit as this season has worn on. He actually has more yards rushing than he does through the air. So it'll be Jones, and they'll go right to the line of scrimmage. You'll see a lot of I formation. Ron James, the fullback. Brock Olivo gets the start. We'll also see quite a bit of Devin West, who's the leading rusher at tailback. Play action pass, Jones. He wants a bunch. Jenkins is out there, and he overthrows him at the 35-yard line. Whereas Jenkins had maybe half a stride past Tony Blevins and Jamie Harris, the cornerback. It'll set up 2nd and 10. And let's take a look again at Missouri trying to hit the big play early, Steve.
Well, trying to make something happen. This is what happens in rivalry games. You want something big. They feel comfortable about getting man-on-man coverage. He had him beat. He just overthrows him. That's why he's upset, because Corby Jones knew that he had the receiver open.
Jenkins and Brook go to the top on 2nd and 10. They go to the fullback, James, a rare carry, and he picks up a couple. And let's take a look at the Missouri offensive line.
Well, the Missouri offensive line, 3 people to look at. Morris, Haig, and Niemeyer, all from Brookfield, Missouri High School. They played together. And then there's the tailbacks, halfback, Olivo and James, and then also Blackwell and West will come in, and then your tight end and your receivers.
Something in the water in Brookfield. Those are big fellas.
To have all 3 playing college ball together in the offensive line is, well, I don't know that I've ever seen that situation.
And it's actually a small town. Not one of those football factory kind of high schools. 3rd down and 8 for the Tigers. Jones will roll. Wants to throw it. He'll have the first down. Eddie Brooks on a little out cut at the 33-yard line in front of Jamie Harris. First down, Missouri. Let's take a look at the 3-4 lineman for the University of Kansas. Brett McGraw in the middle gets it done, Steve.
Yeah, and then the outside linebackers, Brown and Thorne, will have their hands full, and then watch the inside play of Ward and Jones. And then Maurice Gaddy is really the key there. He's got to play big. He's been the top performer for Kansas all season long.
They actually move it out to the 35-yard line. Still Olivo and James. First carry, Brock Olivo, and he is stood up immediately in the hole. Ronnie Ward, the 225-pound senior who is from St. Louis, made the tackle. And he's been making a whole bunch of tackles of late, averaging almost 15 stops a game over the last half dozen. There's Glenn Mason. He's been around this program now for 9 years, and when he first took over, they'd win about once a year. Last year, of course, finished in the top 10 of the nation, 10-2. So you understand the disappointment of being 4-6 at this juncture. Jones will throw. Jenkins makes the circus catch. Now he's got room. Jenkins across midfield all the way to the 40. He lost the football, and Kansas has it. He lost the football. KU recovered inbounds.
Jenkins fumble on the play.
Kevin Kopp fell on it. Well, for Missouri, the old bugaboo. They are minus 13 in turnovers this year. Worst in Division 1A.
These little mistakes just really kill you early in the ball game because it creates momentum for Kansas. Watch him come down the field and the ball just gets stripped away from him. Ronnie Ward is the one that really, watch Ward go in for the ball and strip it completely away from Jenkins.
June Henley the carry, and he darts for a couple to the 41-yard line. All year, Missouri has turned the football over, and in big football games, obviously, you cannot afford to do that. The quarterback is Ben Roots. He's a senior from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. 6 foot, 190 pounds. Not real impressive when you look at him physically, but he has those intangibles, Steve.
Well, they're excited about him because the team follows him. They trust him. He's a feisty competitor, and he really has made a difference when he's been healthy.
Slot to the top, 2nd and 8. Roots will roll. And a circus catch again. This time it's Isaac Bird at the other end. Isaac Bird with a great reception. Algernoff Easter made the tackle. And that is one man, talking about Isaac Bird, that Missouri will have to pay close attention to.
And this is a big difference between Roots not playing last week. They could not get the ball to Isaac Bird, and now he's a big-time player. You've got to have the arm, the strength, and the courage to throw the ball when he's tightly covered.
44-yard line of Missouri. Now Kansas on the move. June Henley. Henley showing the great balance. Didn't look like much. He got 9. Joe Love tripped him up. Kansas offensive line, pretty good size.
They are pretty good size. They've struggled this year, but they've gotten better. They played much better last week against Texas.
Roberts and Glasgow go 3 Bills on that right side.
Then there's June Henley and Mark Sanders. You'll also see Eric Galbraith today, but Isaac Bird is the key receiver to watch, number 1.
Jim Moore got in the end zone twice last year against Missouri. Henley will have the first down, picks and weaves for a couple to the 31-yard line. Justin Wyatt will get up last defensively for Missouri. And speaking of the defense, here's a look.
There's the look of Missouri. They're really a kind of a 4-3 type look in Eric Douglas and Jones and Craycraft in the middle. Kevin Ford's the bandit. 2 linebackers, Chapman and Love, but you'll also see Sterling and Odom, 2 younger players. And then in the secondary, DeMonte Cross is the key player, big pressure player for that secondary.
Henley straight ahead on the zone play, and he'll have about 9 more to the 22-yard line. DeMonte Cross had to make the tackle. He's made more than anybody else in Missouri football history. That's the good news. The bad news is you don't want your safeties making that many stops.
Last week, June Henley ran like a bandit. He really ran harder against Texas. I think obviously he's a senior, but he's running harder. He's the heart and soul of this team. His work ethic, the way he goes about it. He really played well last week, and he's starting off gangbusters today.
Yeah, he ripped the Longhorns for 209 yards. And this time he stopped in the backfield. Penetration came from Brian Craycraft. I was talking to Ricky Hunley yesterday, former star at Arizona and solid player in the NFL. He's a defensive line coach for the Missouri Tigers. He says Brian Craycraft might be the best 250-pound defensive lineman in college football.
Well, and he is that because he's a great technique player. He gets leverage, and it's tough to block the guy, so that's what makes him different. Number 59, he's fun to watch.
3rd down and a couple. Here comes the crowd at Faurot Field. They go to Henley. Henley is stopped, I believe, shy of the first down. Missouri got penetration, and I think he's going to be a little bit short. though it will be close. And they're not even going to measure. They're going to say first down. They say first down. Tom Aller is indicating that it's a first down. Glenn Mason, of course, likes that. I'm sure Larry Smith would have liked to have seen a measurement. So Kansas, first and 10 now at the Missouri 21. Rapidly moving first quarter, 9:45 to go. Roots to the sideline, getting the call. Larry Smith in his third year. He has had success wherever he has been. Tulane, Arizona, where he coached Ricky Hundley. And, of course, it's Southern Cal. Roots slant, caught at the 7-yard line, Isaac Bird. That was well designed.
Well, I tell you, it's very difficult when you've got a quarterback that has a strong arm and a quick release, as Ben Roots does, and then the prolific receiver in Bird to be able to cut inside. Missouri likes a lot of man coverage. That's what they've got here. They give him the inside track, and the ball's perfectly thrown right in front of the cornerback.
Clayton Baker was the defensive back. First and goal, ball at the 7-yard line. Double tight formation. Henley the call. Henley to the 2-yard line. Damani Cross holding on. June Henley this year, 4 different occasions has rushed for 200 or more yards, 5 times in his career. Kind of a thick-legged guy, one of those balanced guys. Who does he remind you of, Steve?
Well, I tell you, he's got a lot of he's got a lot of power in his legs. I can't. He's bigger than a Troy Davis.
And look at this. He's now passed Tuxedo Tony Sands to be the all-time leading rusher at KU. They bring in a fullback. They'll go play action. Back of the end zone. There's that guy Moore again. He just has big days against Missouri. His 3rd touchdown in 4.5 quarters the last 2 years against the Missouri Tigers. So Kansas breaks on top 6-0. Ben Roots, he was perfect in that drive. Jeff McCord, 32 of 34 this year on extra points, and he hammers it right down the middle. 7-0 as Kansas takes advantage of a Missouri turnover and puts the first points on the game. Big 12 football will return after these local messages. In the 105th meeting between Kansas and Missouri, it's the Jayhawks 7 and the Tigers nothing. A long drive. June Henley and, of course, Jim Moore acted prominently in that one. Also Isaac Bird with a couple of receptions. Jeff McCord to kick it deep again, and he hammers this football. This will go through and out of the back of the end zone. Let's go back to the goal line play where they scored the touchdown. If you're a defensive back, Steve, this is your worst nightmare.
That's Jim Moore. He's only had, you're going to get motion here, and that's what's going to happen. Watch Jim Moore. He's only caught 8 passes coming to the ball game, and there he goes. Number 89 is going to fall right in behind everyone. No one picks him up. Damani Cross really got lost in the shuffle with all the motion and the activity. Big touchdown drive. Yep,
10 plays and 61 yards. And I was saying a nightmare for a defensive back because on the goal line you want to commit yourself to the run, but if you do it too quickly, you're in trouble. That's what happened to Cross. Corby Jones breaks a tackle. He's still going. Corby Jones. He could go the distance. Look at this. Touchdown, Missouri. No flags. Right back at you come the Tigers. Longest run of the year for Corby Jones.
Corby Jones, 80 yards for the touchdown.
His 8th touchdown of the year. That is where he is so dangerous in the option game. Mark Norris to tie the football game. And he does so. 7 apiece. People just getting comfortable here at Faurot Field. We've seen a couple of scores already. We'll be right back after this word from Dr. Pepper, proud sponsor of the Big 12 Championship game. Last week, Ernest Blackwell went 81 yards for a touchdown against Baylor. Corby Jones, that man just went 80 yards on a option play. He's the quarterback. He kept the football. We'll show it to you again in a moment. This kickoff is very short. It'll be June Henley. And he'll get to the 22-yard line. Hold on a second. Whistle's blowing, and he's actually down at the 13-yard line. He put a knee down to field the football, and in college, that ends the play right there. So Kansas will be backed up. Let's take another look at the option run by Corby Jones. When you're a defensive player, it's assignment football. Nobody had the quarterback.
Well, 47, Patrick Brown really didn't pick him up. Corby does exactly until somebody takes the quarterback, you just run. He did a wonderful job. He juked one man that was trying to make a move towards him, but wonderful execution of the option play by this young, emerging quarterback for talent for Missouri.
Tough guy to bring down. He had a 71-yard run earlier this year. Roots is in trouble. They're going to bring him down at the 14-yard line. Getting there, the bandit, Kevin Ford, 220-pound junior from Denison, Texas. How often do you see that? The offense makes a play, it fires up the defense. They'll give him a yard. 2nd down and 9 for Roots. Isaac Bird and Eric Van. Van in the slot to the top. June Henley, the single setback. He gets the football. Henley cuts back and finally wrapped up by Easter after a pickup of about 3. And some of the extracurricular stuff. You knew it would happen, and it'll be flagged, and we'll see which way it goes. As a minor skirmish broke out near the Missouri sideline.
Dead ball, personal foul on the defense, 15 yards from the end of the run, 1st down.
Well, that really hurts, obviously. Not only does it erase the 3rd and long situation, but Kansas was backed up inside their own 20-yard line. Now they'll move it out to the 32-yard line. They'll have a fresh set of downs. See if we can pick it up. Damani Cross coming together with Chandler and throws a decent right hand. Not a great right hand, but a decent right hand. They go to Henley again, and he runs straight into Justin Wyatt, who is closing down from a defensive end position, and Wyatt hung on. Justin Wyatt last week had 10 stops in that football game that would never end in Waco, Texas.
It almost did. I listened to the game on radio coming back from last week's game, and it did go on for some time.
49-42, Missouri survived against Baylor. And Larry Smith described it as another step for his program. That was a big win. Roots, pressure coming on the blitz, and Roots will go down. They brought the house, and Roots is sacked. Back at the 24-yard line. Getting there is Barry Odom, one of those young players from Missouri, getting opportunity to play as a young player. He's a true freshman from Ada, Oklahoma.
He comes from the outside, Barry Odom, number 39, and makes the play. What's happened is Chapman and Love, the 2 inside linebackers, are both seniors, but they're both hobbled by injuries. So Barry Odom, the freshman, is getting playing time.
3rd down and 17. They'll go out of the gun, spread formation. Roots throws underneath, and Henley is swarmed under. Joe Love got there first. So Missouri plays good defense, even despite the 15-yard personal foul, and Kansas will have to punt the football.
When Missouri came into the football game defensively, they really felt like the key was to manage June Henley. He's going to get his yards, but don't let him get big plays. And then Isaac Bird. Those were the 2 points of focus for the Missouri defensive staff.
Randy Potter back deep. And he calls a fair catch. Makes so at the 30-yard line. Punt of 37, a net of 37. It is 7 apiece, Missouri and Kansas. We're back after this. Kansas and Missouri knotted up at 7 with Steve Davis. I'm Drew Goodman upstairs. We go downstairs, more on the tradition of this great rivalry. Here's Brian Nooner. Brian.
Yes, Drew, that's right. It's another aspect. It's called the Battle for the Indian War Drum. You're getting a look at the war drum right now. It has the logo from each school on either side, and it's kind of like a traveling trophy, and the Jayhawks have had it in their possession for the last 3 years since they've won the last 3 games, but with the score tied at 7, the Tigers feel like they're at least in a position to get the war drum back.
Well, Brian, that looks like a traveling chair to me. If I had that, I'd put it down, I'd sit down. Here's Corby Jones. Last time he touched the football, he went 80 yards. And this is Ernest Blackwell. Blackwell's got room, and he can really go, folks, to the 37-yard line. Missouri ripping off big chunks. That one goes for 32 yards. Blackwell, 6'3" and 250 pounds, and what is scary is he might be the fastest Missouri Tiger.
The best pure runner in Missouri's backfield, 4.5 speed. Last week had an 81-yard belly play for a touchdown. Just a dramatic player and effectiveness, and they want him to get the ball in his hands more often because he's that exciting when he gets the ball.
Now, we told you he went 81 yards once last week. He had 99 yards rushing against Baylor. He only touched it 5 times. Larry Smith says that has to change. They fake to Olivo. Corby Jones under pressure, and he throws it over Blackwell's head. And it's probably a good idea that he did. Tony Blevins was closing quickly. Let's check the Dr. Pepper roundup. Ohio State, field goal early. Virginia Tech, North Carolina, and Duke. Syracuse putting it to Temple. And Miami, Notre Dame early. BYU and Utah, that's a big matchup. Ramifications in the Western Athletic Conference championship game. And Ole Miss leading Georgia. 37-yard line of Kansas, Missouri, 2 tights. They go fullback, Blackwell. And he'll get about 4 yards on the quick give. Steve Bratton stood him up and then got help. And you need help.
When you're in the option game, what you have to establish first is this fullback play. It is the basis for everything that you do. You've got to make people respect the fullback, then you work to the outside perimeters. And so when they've got an Ernest Blackwell, not only are they trying to establish the fullback game, but they want to get the ball in his hands.
Right now they want to get his headgear on straight. Longest Tiger rush in a long time. Mike Hankowitz, defensive coordinator for Kansas, trying to figure out a way to stop number 33. And Missouri's going to have to burn a timeout. I think it's because of Blackwell's helmet. He might have had trouble with the chin strap. Sometimes the grommet on the chin strap comes loose, and you don't want to get flagged for not having your equipment buckled up properly. 4:16 to go in the first quarter, 7 apiece, Missouri and Kansas, and we take a look at the Lincoln Mercury Conference standings. Nebraska and Colorado, they will play next Friday for the North Division title and the right to go to St. Louis about an hour and 45 minutes from here and playing the inaugural Big 12 championship game. Kansas State, they're headed to a big-time bowl, you would figure. And in the South Division, Texas, Texas Tech, Texas A&M. That is a logjam. Now, Texas and Texas Tech play next week. Texas A&M play next week. Texas Tech has Oklahoma. That will be an interesting matchup today. And if it's a 3-way tie, well, you have to really sort things out to figure out who will be there. I think Tech wins most of the tiebreakers.
The South Division's been extremely competitive. When you look at all the teams in the South, a lot of people criticize the South a little bit. And the reason, first of all, they're young football teams. Almost up and down the line when you look at them, they're just young. And so that's why it's been more competitive in that South region.
I also think it's misleading. People look at the A&Ms and the Longhorns and they say, oh, they have 4 losses. They can't be very good. Quite the contrary. And that's what's going to happen in this conference. There's so many quality football teams, it is hard to go through clean. Second down, Jones throwing in the flat and holding on and keeping a foot in bounds was Rosette Jenkins. So both of his catches today have been of the, actually that was third down, let me correct something. Both of his catches today have been of the juggling variety. The crowd wants Missouri to go. They're faced with about a fourth down and a yard and a half. And Larry Smith's keeping Corby Jones out there. The crowd will appreciate this. Until, of course, they get stopped. If they get stopped, then the crowd boos you. Isn't that how it works, Steve?
Yeah, that's exactly how it works.
Full house backfield. James and Blackwell. Brock Olivo's the tail. Olivo gets the call, and I believe he got enough for the first down. J.J. Johnson shot the gap. Also Ronnie Ward there. And it is enough for a first down. And I like that call. You're 4 and 6. You're trying to get to the next level. You go for it.
Well, Missouri's wanting to make something happen. This is a young team. They're excited. Good field position. They're going to get power blocks. Really just no surprise about it. We're just going to put our best people on your best people, and we're going to go find out who can go get a yard.
That's not a bad guy to give it to either. They call him Forrest Gump, Brock Olivo. Nobody works harder than that kid. And he gets the call again. Olivo. Brock Olivo. Inside the 10, all the way to the 1 yard line. They'll mark him down just outside the 1. Chris Jones saved the touchdown. 25-yard run for the junior from Washington, Missouri.
Brock Olivo is a self-made role model for this Missouri football team. Straight ahead, block coming right off the block of his fullback, and he just uses all the strength he's got. He is tough to tackle. They use him as really a utility back, but they love to get the ball to him, and he is something else. They love this guy.
Again they go in the power I. Olivo walks into the end zone. Touchdown, Missouri. His third touchdown run of the year. Talk about leg strength. This guy has it. Brock Olivo squats over 700 pounds. You saw him step through a tackle on that 25-yard run. Mark Norris trying to tack on point number 14. And he's able to do so. So Missouri, after being stopped on their initial possession via turnover, goes 80 yards once, and they come right back with another quick and efficient drive to take a touchdown lead on Kansas. Take a look at the touchdown run by Brock Olivo. He had a big opening for the goal line, didn't he?
There is no doubt they're going right inside. Chris Meredith, 98, was also blocking a 2 tight end set. Watch the power. I mean, there's nothing really exciting about this play. They're just saying, we're going to put our best people blocking yours, and we're going to go see if we can put it in the end zone. That's smash mouth Missouri football.
Larry Smith, throughout his career, has always been a defensive-minded coach, and he loves power football. He loves a physical style of football, certainly on the defensive end, but you're seeing it in the running game. He wants to run between the tackles and knock you off the ball, and they've done that, 69 yards.
And I think he's absolutely right. Missouri has a trademark for decades of being a physical football program. Some of my best body parts are out on Faroe Field when I played up here.
Eric Van has the football. And he'll get out to the 36-yard line. Pounding off Easter, the starting strong safety, made the play covering the kick. And pretty good starting spot for Kansas. Actually, that was Clayton Baker. Clayton Baker is a starting cornerback. You see that with Missouri. A lot of teams who don't have great depth will use some of their starters on special teams. Get their best athletes out there.
Well, they don't have the numbers. They got to put their best athletes on the field one way or the other, and special teams is a lot of places where you can really show your inabilities.
Henry. He ran right into Eric Douglas. Also nearby, Sam Joshua.
Now, the offensive line of Kansas has struggled over the year. They've gotten better. They played much better last week. They haven't been able to sustain blocks. Nobody is blocking Douglas, and even Jones is filtering through. So Kansas is struggling right now against Craycraft, 92, the tackle, Jones, the nose tackle, and Douglas, the guard for that Missouri defense.
And Jeff Marriott made that play also. Roots will go down. The corner, Sam Joshua off the edge. He's an outside backer, or a bandit in Missouri's terminology, and he came flying stunted right to where Kansas was trying to roll the quarterback.
You've got to be able to. Kansas felt like they had to establish the run in this ball game, and they've not been able to do that. Now they're putting the pressure on Roots to try to make something happen off of a play-action pass. Probably not the call I would have made there, play-action, on 2nd and 10.
Now it's 3rd down, the quarter acre. They need 18. They'll keep it on the ground. Eric Van will get about 14 of the necessary yards, but Kansas will have to punt the football. Joe Love made the tackle. So Missouri able to hold. And in the opening drive, June Henley was having his way running the football. The last couple of possessions, he has been stuffed around the line of scrimmage.
And the other thing was they were able to exploit the single-man coverage of Missouri on Isaac Bird, and they've gotten away from that.
So Dean Royal will punt back around his own 20-yard line to Randy Potter. This is a line drive punt. And Potter again makes the fair catch at the 20. A punt of 39 yards. Yesterday we had an opportunity to sit down with Larry Smith, and we asked him about this Missouri-Kansas rivalry.
It's a big rivalry. It's a game that I think everybody thinks about all year long, and it's a very intense football game, and after it's played, then it's probably the game that's remembered the longest for the next year.
And there's something about winning your final game of the season, because when you lose, it sits with you longer, doesn't it, Steve?
Oh, absolutely. And it's, again, for Missouri, they're really excited about building their future. I mean, they've had a series of 3-win seasons. This is an opportunity to be a 5-win season, a 5-game winning season for them.
Devin West, his first carry of the football game, and he'll get about 5 yards. West, actually, the leading ball carrier this year for the Missouri Tigers. Maurice Gaddy, the strong safety, came up and made the tackle. And you talk to Larry Smith, you get a feeling that he is very confident about the future. Rushing yards, Missouri winning that game. Last week, they almost rushed for 400 yards against Baylor.
I tell you, the other thing you like about them, they know exactly what they want to become on both sides of the ball.
Here's the option game. Corby Jones, late pitch, Devin West, and he'll get a couple. He'll be about 3 yards shy of the first down. Again, it's Gaddy, the strong safety, who is on the pitch man. 25 seconds left in the opening quarter. Missouri at home leading 14-7 over Kansas.
Corby Jones is just learning the techniques and really what happens in the option game. As an option quarterback, you'll begin to find the seams, and the more he runs it in practice and game situation, the more it'll open up to him. And he has the perfect build to be a tenacious option quarterback and a dangerous quarterback.
They'll go out of split backs on 3rd down. James gets the football, and he doesn't get close. In fact, he's stuffed for a loss. Stepping inside was Dan Durcher, 265-pound sophomore. There's Durcher. That's a bit of a surprise. On 3rd down and 3, Ron James gets the call, and coming into the ball game, he had 152 yards rushing. He is usually the last option. He's the lead guy. He's the blocker, yet Devin West was blocking for him. That'll do it for the first chapter in Columbia, Missouri, and the home folks have to like what they've seen thus far. The Tigers leading the Jayhawks 14-7. We'll be right back after this word from Citgo. Look for the sign of quality throughout Big 12 country. Citgo says go. Kansas 14-7 as we begin the second quarter. And Missouri will be forced to punt. And Jason Smith comes into the football game. And Isaac Bird back deep. And he's going to have to get away from this. Missouri's rolling on it like it hit a Kansas player. It hit somebody. I'm not so sure if it wasn't a Missouri player. Tom Ollers is going to get in there and sort it out. And we have the luxury of watching it again, and I believe that was the right call. A punt of 33 yards, one of those dangerous ones. When you're hustling down to cover a punt and the ball's one of those low-line drives, it's dangerous in that it could hit.
Illegal touching on the kicking team. Therefore, it's Kansas ball, 1st and 10.
Let's see if we can find Clayton Baker, number 8, right here. Watch him, and let's see if we can't find the ball hitting him on the head.
And again, he's doing his job. He's peeling back and, actually not peeling, he's covering the punt and hits him in the back. June Henley straight ahead and not much again. Kansas not able to get June Henley going, particularly on 1st down. Justin Wyatt. So in the trenches, the last couple of series, Missouri in that front of Douglas and Wyatt, Donnell Jones, Brian Craycraft defeating the blocks.
Earlier in the game, they were doing misdirection, using Henley, trying to exploit Bird on an isolation on single coverage. They've gotten away from that.
Roots out of the shotgun on 2nd and 9. And it's breaking down. 3rd sack of the ball game. It's Donnell Jones who gets in there. He was the defensive player of the week last week against Baylor. He has really come on. A loss of 8 yards. 3 series, 3 sacks. And this is really strange because Missouri had only 11 sacks on the year coming in. In fact, it had been produced by 10 different players. The only guy with more than 1 sack was Justin Wyatt.
What they're really doing is exploiting that offensive line that struggled for Kansas all season.
They'll roll the pocket now. Roots, and again it's breaking down, and he goes down. The aforementioned Justin Wyatt. Give him his 3rd sack of the year. He doesn't want anybody to catch him. And Kansas goes the wrong direction.
One of the problems that Kansas has had all year, watch the offensive linemen turn loose of blocks prematurely. They get away. There's one that they turned loose of. There's another one. Not doing a very good job of getting their bodies squared up and sustaining those blocks. They're not giving their quarterback a chance.
Potter's deep. Royal getting a workout here, and this is a returnable one. I guess not. Potter calls it fair catch. Kind of a low-line drive. At the 37-yard line, the Tigers will have good field position. They have the lead at home, 14-7.
One back set now, mainly one back. You know who it is. Let's tackle him low and wrap him up. Make sure we wrap up the first guy there. We've got to really wrap him up. And then we come in.
Well, ever since the first series, Skip Hall has to be pleased. His team is definitely wrapping up. They've congested the middle. June Henley has not been able to find running room. We look at the Southwest Airlines storyline. Kansas scored after a turnover. They went 61 yards. Roots to Moore, back of the end zone, then 2 rushing touchdowns. Jones from 80 yards away on an option keep, and then they had a 69-yard drive, and Brock Olivo, who had carried it 25 yards to the 1, took the honors. Missouri with the football again at the 37-yard line. Jones running the option. Late pitch, West. And there's a flag down in the backfield, and I also believe he stepped out of bounds. And this is going to come back. It'll be a hold on Missouri. Tom Ehlers all by his lonesome back there with the flag down, and if you're a Missouri Tiger, you look back and that's the last sight you want to see. And he threw it immediately. So
Holding on the offense, 10 yards from the spot of the fall, repeat first down.
Must have been a good one. See if it's on Todd Niemeyer.
Let's see, Todd is right here, 69. Let's see if we can find the hold. He's got the frame of the body. Yeah, when you tackle him, that would be considered a hold.
Yes. Now, if it was wrestling, he'd get 2 points for a takedown there. And that's really a net loss of 31 yards. It will be always from the spot of the foul.
It's a big play. It's the bigger part of the story, though.
First down and 24. We go fullback and Blackwell. Actually, check it. It's James. No, it is Blackwell, 33. Brett McGraw, the nose tackle, slid down the line of scrimmage, made the play defensively. And it'll be second down and 23 yards to go for Missouri. They're getting it done on the ground, Steve. They wanted to come out, play physical football, and they've done that.
First couple of drives, what they try to do is they got their fullback going. They had success there. Kansas has not been able to guess right. They're taking some chances, trying to get some stunts and movement, be disruptive, but they've just not been successful of stuffing Missouri.
Option look again. Good block on the corner, but it was not enough as Kansas read it well, played their assignments, and Devin West, the pitchman, is dropped and will actually lose a couple of yards. Chris Jones there, the outside backer, and also Tony Blevins came up and made the force.
Option football is a disciplined assignment job. What you've got to do is make sure that somebody's got the deep third, deep responsibility. Someone's got pitch, someone's got quarterback, someone's got fullback. The job of Missouri is to try to confuse those issues and execute and have leverage and create a 3-on-2 type break like you'd have in basketball. That's what they're trying to do.
Third and 25. Time breaking down for Corby Jones. Now he's looking to run, and he's not going to find any room. Good play again by Dircher. Think about this, folks. He's 270 pounds, and he's got a quarterback with happy feet dancing around him, and he broke down and made the tackle. That was not easy.
The coaches really didn't talk about Dircher's role today of being in the ball game, but we've said his name a couple of times. Really, typically, Corby Jones can do a pretty good job handling the impromptu play. That time he got wrapped up.
Isaac Bird, fair catch, 44-yard line. Good field position now for Kansas. 14-7, Missouri leading the Jayhawks.
Kansas has been primarily in kind of a one-back set with Henley in the backfield, and the reason they've done that is because Missouri, historically in 1996, they've struggled with one back. I think they're going to have to get two-back offense going and try to run the ball, protect their runners, and give their quarterback a bigger chance.
You know, despite being 4-6, Steve, Glenn Mason, they're saying they had a great week of practice in preparation for Missouri. June Henley. This time he finds a little bit more room, gets it out to midfield. That'll be an advance of 5 yards. June Henley's 5'11", but he packs 215 pounds on that frame. And you see just about 3 yards a carry so far. That can change very, very quickly.
Yeah, he had a great week last week against Texas and ran hard. I mean, he really took the entire weight of the team on his shoulders last week as they were struggling at quarterback.
Roots, backside throw to Moore, and Moore able to break one tackle, that of Easter initially, and then Joe Love finished him off. It will set up a third down and short.
Those type of quick plays, those quick passes will help take pressure off of Ben Roots and June Henley. They've got to get the ball moving around to someone other than just trying to stuff Missouri in between the tackles. Missouri has shown quite worthy of taking this offensive line on, so they've got to dink around on the tight end and Isaac Bird and take some chances.
Jim Moore had 8 catches coming in. He's already got 2 today. Third and short. And Henley trying to get to the sticks. He didn't get there, though. Brian Craycraft. Well, when Missouri's needed a big play defensively this year, it's either been Damani Cross or Brian Craycraft. And Glenn Mason's made his decision. He's going to bring in the punt team. There's Craycraft, the junior from Mesa, Arizona.
Kansas goes with 2 backs, and they can't block Missouri and puts them in 4th down.
Potter's back at his own 10. And Royal angles it toward the sideline. Potter calls a fair catch at the 2-yard line. That is a cardinal sin. When your heels are on the 10, you don't back up. And Potter will hear about it when he gets to the sideline. Punt of 44 backs up the Tigers. They have the lead, however. Tigers leading the Jayhawks with Steve Davis and Brian Nooner. I'm Drew Goodman, and, well, if you're Randy Potter right now, you're still hearing an earful.
Well, what's happened, look where he is on the field. I think he really loses where he is. He should be, if he's at the 10-yard line, the ball's going over his head, let the fair catch, just let the ball go. He ends up at the 3-yard line and catching the ball, and then Larry Smith has something to say to him because I think he really lost where he was on the field.
One of the toughest assignments, one of the toughest tasks in football is fielding a punt, much less returning it. And he drifted a little bit. They're backed up at the 2-yard line. Brock Olivo, Ron James, the fullback. 2 tight ends. Corby Jones, Brock Olivo, big opening. And Olivo will get it out to the 11-yard line. He got 9 and some breathing room for Missouri. Tony Blevins, the free safety, had to make the tackle. He's second on the team in stops. Missed all of last year with a right knee injury. He started as a true freshman. In fact, he was the Big 8 Freshman of the Year in 1993. See the damage Olivo's done so far. 9 in the box for Kansas. And Olivo doesn't get much, but he got enough for a first down. And if you're Larry Smith, even if they don't move any further than this, you will take that first down. At least you don't have your punter with his heels on the back line of the end zone.
Coming into the football game, when you look at Missouri, teams that have had success against this Missouri offense, they've been able to stop the run, then they've been able to out-quick them, and then thirdly, they've been able to put man-to-man coverage and create some problems for this young quarterback. And so, really, Kansas has not been able to accomplish any of those 3 goals.
Well, this was a situation where everybody went right and Corby Jones faked the option to the left. And since everybody went right, you have to believe the quarterback forgot the play he called himself.
Mental lapses really part of the game. If you're a young quarterback, he's got a lot to think about. He just goes the wrong way, and the defense takes it out on him. Mental mistakes, little mental mistakes. Corby's really just growing into this position of being an option quarterback. He had a few games last year, pulled out a red shirt. Now he's really getting the feel for the offense, so he's going to make some mistakes.
And he pointed to himself after the play, said, "My bad." Here's the option near side. He won't even get to the pitfalls on the ground. And Kansas has the football. Corby Jones was hit immediately, never got going. Adrian Green jumped on his back. Johnson claiming he recovered it.
Adrian Green, number 93, is just going to jump by, and nobody really blocks him. And so there's 285-pound sophomore that is able to wrap it up, create confusion. In the option game, if you can create penetration, you've got a wonderful opportunity to force the quarterback off his path and cause mistakes. Corby got wrapped up looking at the in-man line of scrimmage and lost where he was on the field and didn't protect the ball.
Out of the shotgun, they give to Henley. Henley hit from behind. He gets to the 8-yard line, knocking him down with Sam Joshua. That's interesting because they've had problems taking the snap under center and running the football on first down. They come out in the shotgun, Steve.
That's right, and here's really the result of the bad decision by Randy Potter to try to field that punt at the 3-yard line. You turn the ball over deep, you get a mistake. Those are the kind of little things. I mean, this is a short field for Kansas and nothing what Missouri wanted to be in a situation with right now.
Second turnover of the game for Missouri. Henley straight ahead. Bouncing off of people, keeping the legs moving, got maybe to the 6-yard line. It'll set up 3rd down and 5. Jeff Marriott will pick himself up off the ground. He made the tackle, the redshirt freshman.
Kansas is trying to do it inside behind this young offensive line. Hunt, number 73, is a redshirt freshman at guard. Cleve Roberts is a sophomore.
Henley checking with Roots. Strong right formation. Bird flank to the top. They need the 2-yard line. Roots trying to throw back, and he misses Bird. Bird ran a post corner and slipped. And Kansas will have to go for 3. So a moral victory of sorts for Missouri. Let's watch again.
Watch Bird right here. He's going to slip down. They really had 2 plays going here. They had a screen to the left. He slips. So I really think Bird was the secondary receiver. What they were trying to do is get that right there, the screen play to Henley.
And McCord pounds it through. So Missouri's lead cut to 4 points. 5:24 to go before halftime. Missouri at home leading Kansas 14-10. Big 12 football will return after these local messages. 14-10 Missouri at Faurot Field in Columbia, the 105th get-together, and we've seen the ball on the ground. We've also seen some big plays offensively. Lonnie Ward stripping Rosetny Jenkins of the football. KU recovered. They went down the football field. Roots lobbed in the end zone to Jim Moore. 7-0 Kansas. Then right back came Missouri on the option. Corby Jones, the fake to Brock Olivo down the football field. And he goes the distance, 80 yards for a touchdown. And then Missouri got a short touchdown run from Brock Olivo after another lengthy drive. And then moments ago, a field goal from Jeff McCord. You're up to date, 14-10. Missouri leading Kansas with Brian Nooner and Steve Davis. I'm Drew Goodman. Missouri has not defeated their friends from Lawrence in 4 years. Well, Kansas has a pretty good streak going. They've won 8 of their last 11 on the road, and against unranked opponents, give you an idea how Glenn Mason has turned this program around. Against unranked opponents, their last 25 games against non-ranked opponents, they've won 21. This is in the direction of Kenyatta Williams from the 2. And he'll get it out to the 25-yard line. Brought down by Maurice Gaddy. Check the Dr. Pepper roundup. Ohio State struggling with Michigan. Virginia Tech a field goal ahead of West Virginia. North Carolina and Duke. Syracuse. Miami beating up on Boston College. And as you'd expect, Notre Dame winning big. And BYU putting it to Utah. They haven't knocked off the Utes in a while. Georgia and Mississippi tied at 14. 2 schools in Purdue and Indiana that'll have a new coach next year. James and Olivo, and they'll waggle. And this is short of the target. Corby Jones underthrew his tight end, Bill Lingerfeld. And he took a pop as he released it.
That's part of Corby's problem in terms of being able not setting his feet. He's struggled at times where he's really not set his feet, and that's one of the big problems the coaches have. He's got to get back there, get under control, and then make his feet. Watch his feet action. See, he just doesn't get set. He is much better when he is set, standing tall, and moving forward towards the pass. And that's what they're worked on, his mechanics of getting his technique more solid and consistent.
And Brett McGraw made him throw it half a beat early. Brock Olivo straight ahead, couple of yards, that is all. It'll be 3rd down and 8, and again, McGraw will be the final Kansas player to get up. He's played the best, the steadiest of the down people for KU. 6'1", 280 pounds. And That's what a nose guard should be. Should be about 6 feet tall and look like a manhole cover with legs.
Every time we've done Kansas, the coach is describing the same way. I mean, he's the blue-collar type of guy. He's not a great athlete, but he's better in the run game. But he's been consistent for them. He's been a steady performer for that Kansas middle.
3rd and 8. Missouri needs the 35-yard line. And Corby Jones is going to have to burn a timeout. Corby Jones, his dad Curtis, the running back coach here at Missouri, and he started Hickman High School just a couple of miles from here, and we asked him about the KU rivalry.
I think it means a lot. Ever since my dad got here, I've been a part of the Missouri-Kansas rivalry, and as I said last year when I was asked about it, I responded by saying I really didn't know what it meant until my junior year of high school. I walked in to the stadium and saw a stuffed Jayhawk hanging with the noose around his neck, and so that kind of clued me in as to what it was all about.
Yeah, that'd give you a pretty good indication. And here's some other youngsters learning about the KU-Missouri rivalry. There's his father, Curtis, and that has to be so difficult, Steve, for a dad to be on the same staff where your son is playing, particularly the quarterback position, because it always is a spot that is criticized when things are not going well and heaped with praise, obviously, when things are going pretty good.
Well, it's got to be a tough position as a father, but you know, from everything that I've heard and read about the two and the way they've handled the situation, I mean, Dad's let his son be his own mind and make his own decisions. He didn't put the pressure on him to come to Missouri. Now, he did everything he could within the rules to encourage him, but he really let Corby make the decisions, and I think that's smart fathering on his part.
I know Dartmouth College, Curtis coached there for a while. Dartmouth wanted Corby Jones to play in the Ivy Leagues for him. He's a good student, great kid. 4:26 to go before halftime. Missouri leading 14-10. 3rd and 8. Jones out of the gun. And they don't get this off. A procedure call, I'm guessing, is what we're going to see here.
Dead ball, false start on the offense, 5 yards, repeat the down.
So now they'll have 3rd and 13.
Missouri trying to take advantage of crossing routes by inside or slot type receivers has been a problem for Kansas, where they would have an inside receiver in the slot and then someone outside and then putting him either across the middle or in some sort of a crossing route. Anything to confuse the cornerbacks of Kansas, that has been somewhat effective over the course of the season. Texas did it last week.
And of course, this kind of situation gets away from the strength of Missouri. They are a running football team. They send 5 out. Jones pulling it down. And it's knocked down. Had a man open for a moment, knocked down by Jamie Harris. Good play by the sophomore corner from Olathe, Kansas. Brock Olivo was the intended target. And if you're a DB or a linebacker and you see this guy on the corner, it's hold your breath time.
And where Corby Jones struggles in that is in the touch pass of being able to take some heat off the ball and just laying it in there. He's more spontaneous when he's just driving the ball.
Kansas came after it. Isaac Bird back by himself at the 45-yard line. Bird runs into his own player, and it stopped at the 48, so a minimal return. But Kansas will set up shop at the 47-yard line, trailing by 4 with 4:04 to go in the second quarter.
I think Isaac Bird will go back to the huddle and find Tyrus Fontenot, the freshman who tackled him. And the problem is Tyrus is his teammate.
That's right, they were in the same helmet. Never good when that happens. Right to the line of scrimmage come the Jayhawks. Roots, the quarterback. June Henley has not gotten untracked yet. They sweep with Henley, goes through the hole sideways and gets about 6 yards. That was nifty. He took a little opening and got 6 yards before he was hit by Barry Odom. June Henley's waited his turn. They had L.T. Levine last year who got a lot of carries. As a freshman, he was over 1,000 yards. Last year, he had 766. Obviously, that's not shoddy. But this year, he has been the guy, the featured guy. Here's the football again. And he'll have maybe a yard. The Missouri defense coming in against the run was 93rd in the nation. You would not know that by how they've played today against one of the premier backs in college football. Brian Craycraft led the black shirts that time. Also, Donnell Jones, number 97, was in there.
And when you talk to the defensive coaches of Missouri, they've been real concerned about, they don't feel like that they have the team speed defensively that really is going to give them the kind of play, and when people take advantage of it, it's caused problems. Kansas can't take advantage of it.
They blitz, Roots to Bird, and he dropped the football. Good coverage on the play by Clayton Baker. One-on-one with Isaac Bird, and it's a pretty good throw by Roots.
Super defense right here by Clayton Baker. Watch him, number 8. He's the best corner, good man, and watch, he just perfect play by the cornerback. He watches Isaac Bird's eyes, and then all of a sudden you watch Baker start to try to find the football. Wonderful execution by this young cornerback.
Royal angling toward the corner. Instead, he got the end zone. So they'll bring it out to the 20-yard line. Terrific defensive performance, not only by Clayton Baker, but the whole D, because Kansas had the football in great field position. And that could have been one of those momentum swings.
Right, last 2 drives they've had great field position, and they've only come away with 3 points.
Mo Ankney, the defensive coordinator for the Tigers, has to be real pleased. Teams have been averaging about 5 yards a carry against Missouri. Then you look out there and you see June Henley, who's well over 1,000 yards rushing this year, and you say, boy, it could be a long day. But Missouri has dominated, more so statistically than on the scoreboard. They're up 4. Ernest Blackwell, off tackle, Blackwell with that high knee action. Remember number 33, Roger Craig at Nebraska and also at the San Francisco 49ers. This guy's a lot bigger than Craig, but he had that giddy up high knee style.
You can see why Larry Smith wants to get the ball more to Ernest Blackwell, number 33. I mean, he is an outstanding, a pure runner. I mean, keeps his balance. That's the kind of talent. I mean, they want to put the ball in his hands.
Quick pop pass, and it is complete. Good catch. Well done by Eddie Brooks, his 15th catch of the year. Tony Blevins covered him up. I'll tell you one of the big reasons this is a huge game, not only because they're rivals. You mentioned off the top, Steve, about recruiting. State of Missouri produces about 20 Division I A prospects in an average year. Missouri wants to keep the majority of those at the state university. Over the last 10 years, many of those kids have gone out of state as Ernest Blackwell picks up a couple. Inside a minute 50 to go, 1 timeout remaining for Missouri. It'll set up about a 2nd down and 8.
And when you're building a program, Drew, you've got to have those in-state players. I mean, that's the core. They understand Missouri football. They are inspired. They'll help attract better players from the state. There are so many positives. You've got to win those recruiting battles. And the problem is that Kansas comes in here and raids the state of Missouri for players also.
Patrick Brown came off the edge and sacked Corby Jones on the boot. Brown was not fooled.
There's Patrick Brown right there, 47. He's just going to come right off the block. Actually, nobody picks him up, and he's not fooled. He's got outside responsibility, and he closes the quarterback, makes a beeline for him, and wraps up Corby Jones.
Another one of those Ohio players for Kansas. Of course, Glenn Mason was a standout player at Ohio State, coached under Woody Hayes. 3rd down and 14. Underneath route, Brock Olivo, and he is gathered in by Patrick Brown. So Missouri puts together one first down in the 2-minute drill, and then they stall, so they'll have to punt the football with 29 seconds to go to Kansas. And now if you're Kansas, Steve, do you go after this punt? Because Missouri's had a couple blocked this year. They've had a couple of problems with exchanges also, a couple of dropped or muffed punt snaps.
I really believe that Kansas has to generate something. They've got to get some special bonus points from somewhere outside
Missouri has one timeout remaining this half. Kansas has 2.
Thank you. From right outside, they've got to figure out some way to create some emotion, get something going. I wouldn't be surprised if they take a shot at it.
They came last time. They got pretty close. Glenn Mason, you know it's been a frustrating year. It's been a strange year for Glenn Mason. 10-2 last year. They finished in the top 10 of the nation. First time ever for the University of Kansas. And then it looks like he's going to go to Athens, Georgia, and be the head coach of the Georgia Bulldogs. And he reneges at the last moment, says he's happy in Lawrence. And this year, they've been in every football game, but in the second half, things have not gone the way of the Jayhawks. And they have lost 5 of their last 6 after a promising start this year.
Well, and I think part of the coaches on both sides of the ball will say to us, I mean, we just haven't gelled as a football team. I mean, here is the last game of the season, and they've just had missed opportunities, injuries, a lot of little things that have caused them not to play as well as they thought they would at the beginning of the season.
Jason Smith to punt, and Kansas is going to set up a return. Isaac Bird back at the 24, trying to get to the wall. And Bird gets to the 36-yard line. Good job by Missouri covering up Bird. A return of 13 on a punt of 40. Down on special teams, Kevin Ford, the Bandit. So there are 14 ticks left, and we also have a flag down way back at the 38-yard line. Illegal motion, and I'd make him line up and do it again if I'm Glenn Mason. Illegal shift.
Illegal motion on the kicking team. 5 yards. Repeat the down.
Well, you set up the return once. Now do you try for the block, Steve?
Well, let's maybe 1 out of 2. I think Kansas just needs to generate some excitement. They've been, as we said earlier, they've had a couple of drives, great field position, only put 3 points on the board. They just seemed like the second quarter just got flat. They started off fast. They've got to get something generated, do something. Last week at halftime, they set on it, went into halftime, and they got booed for it. Generate something. Take some chances.
We were talking a moment ago about the state of Missouri. Pretty good breeding ground for college football, and Larry Smith realizes he needs to get most of those players to stay at home in Columbia.
I think it's very important to have the state of Missouri represented. When we came here, we pledged that we would build this program first with Missouri high school talent, and we have done that. We're doing that. This year, when we began the season, of our top 44 football players, 22 in offense and 22 in defense, 32 are from the state of Missouri. So we're recruiting other areas, but I think it's most important that we keep the top talent here in the state, and they play at their own state university.
And look at this, last 3 games, all 11 offensive starters, native Missourians. And a whole bunch on the 2 deep from the state of Missouri. And if you're going to win, you better keep all the good ones at home. So Jason Smith will try again. Now 9 on the line of scrimmage for Kansas. And they don't get close. This is a pretty good effort. Isaac Bird will watch it hit, and he'll stay away from it. And it'll be down at the 20-yard line. Actually, that was Gordon back deep. A punt of 48, and there's 1 second left for Kansas. That's you look in your playbook for that 80-yard play. Again, checking scores from college football brought to you by Dr. Pepper. North Carolina, a little tussle with Duke. 20-3, BYU and Utah, Harvard and Yale. Who'd you have in that game, Steve?
Well, that's Carmen Koza's last game at
Yeah,
Yale. Great
right.
coach. I did a Yale game years ago. That's a big game for those in-state rivals.
Oh yeah, Purdue and Indiana. Rivalry day. Ben Roots just puts a knee down, and we have arrived at halftime. 14-10, Missouri on their home field, leading Kansas. Trying to beat them for the first time since 1992. In Missouri, they ran their game plan to perfection. They stopped June Henley, and offensively, they were able to run the football. And let's go down to Brian Nooner, who's with Larry Smith. Brian?
Well, Larry, you've done a nice job on defense keeping Henley in check. You've got your offensive running game going. Turnovers and penalties, though, have played a key part.
Yeah, they've stopped us. We got to stop shooting ourselves in the foot and get up there and score more points. It's going to take a lot more points than that to win the game.
Any adjustments you're going to make at half?
Just run more, I think.
Run more. All right, Coach. Thanks for joining us.
All right. Okay.
Let's send it back up to you now, Drew.
All right, Brian. They ran quite effectively in the first half, and Coach Smith says we're going to run even more in the second half. 14-10, the Tigers leading the Jayhawks in Columbia.
Welcome back to Columbia, Missouri, where we're at the half, and it's Missouri leading Kansas by a count of 14-10. Now, if you will, this is their bowl game because neither team will get 6 wins on the season and qualify for postseason play. That is.
If you think learning is just books and a chalkboard, think again. Anthropology students study ancient Peru.
I actually walked around in a Peruvian village.
Science majors explore the human heart.
We traveled through the chambers of the heart, seeing how it works.
The future classroom is at Mizzou, where virtual reality is reality. Great beginnings happen at MU.
Welcome back to Columbia, where the Tigers lead the Jayhawks by 4 points at the half. You know, this is our final regular season game, and we kind of thought it would be fun to take a look back at all the Big 12 action in this, the first season.
Mark for the music.
Straight ahead on the show, we've got Drew and Steve breaking down the first half highlights. Big 12 college football continues after these local messages.
Cold, blustery day in Columbia. Columbia, Missouri. We're at Faurot Field, halftime between the Jayhawks and the Tigers, and Missouri leading 14-10. Back with Steve Davis, I'm Drew Goodman, and it's a close football game on the scoreboard. Two teams that want to run the football, Steve, and one team in Missouri has been far more successful than Kansas.
Well, they really have, and they've really played within themselves, and I think that's why they're having success. Corby Jones, I think, played a really fine first half. When he gets outside of his ability, he struggles. But here on the option play early in the ball game, he just made all the right calls. Kansas didn't have anybody to pick up the quarterback, and Corby's job is, until somebody makes you pitch, you hang on, he goes the distance.
Missouri survived a couple of turnovers. They lead 14-10. Sitko celebrates the inaugural year of the Big 12 by looking back at critical fourth down situations when teams decided to go for it. 14-10 at halftime, Missouri leading Kansas. Downstairs we go, Brian Nooner with Glenn Mason. Brian?
Well, Glenn, you took advantage of 2 Tiger turnovers, but aside from that, the offense really hasn't been on track here in the first half.
No, except for that first series, we've not been in sync. We've moved the ball, we haven't put anything consistently, and we've come up to too many of those short yardage situations. We need to do a better job offensively.
Do you stay with Ben Roots in the second half?
Yeah, there's no problem with Ben Roots. We just need to be more consistent in our offensive line play, and we'll be all right.
All right, thanks a lot, Coach. Good luck second half. Drew, let's send it back up to you.
All right, Brian, thank you. We'll get the football up in the air. Half number 2 from Columbia. All right, after these messages, the Tigers leading the Hawks 14-10. The second half is brought to you by Discover Card, proud partner of the Smithsonian's 150th anniversary. By Sitco, look for the sign of quality throughout Big 12 country. Sitco says go. And by Mazda, experience cars and trucks built with a passion for the road. Mazda. Well, Sitko says go, and Tom Aller said go, so they kicked it off already. And there was a flag down on the kickoff as Missouri leading Kansas 14-10. And Kansas will be backed up as it was against the Jayhawks. Ben Roots back onto the field. He didn't have a bad first half. Kansas wants to run the football. We documented that at the top of the broadcast. We talked about it again a moment ago, Steve. June Henley is yet to get on track, and Roots said, modest numbers in the passing game, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, he just wasn't able to keep the tempo that they set early in that first quarter.
Waggle action. This time he's got Hosea Friday into the secondary to the 39-yard line. The 250-pound senior from Detroit, his 12th catch of the year. Clayton Baker brought him down. We checked the Southwest Airlines team mus, and what's the report card show for the Jayhawks?
Well, they didn't fare very well, really. They didn't exploit the defense, the youthful defense of Missouri. You can tell what happened there. Challenged them physically. Kansas is only putting 2.6 yards per play, and then they weren't able to create or sustain the momentum consistently that they had early in that first half, but now they've started off in third quarter somewhat similar to the way they did at the beginning of the game.
Isaac Bird and John Gordon go to the top. They go to June Henley, and Joe Love jumps on his back at the line of scrimmage. Also Eric Douglas in there. No room between the tackles for June Henley since the opening drive of this football game, as we check the team must, brought to you by Southwest Airlines for Missouri.
And I think Missouri's got to feel pretty good about themselves. They've managed the big play talent of Bird and Henley. Corby Jones has just executed superbly, and now the question is 60 minutes of team execution. It's in the third and fourth quarter where Missouri has historically struggled.
Larry Smith said yesterday they've played 30 minutes of good football on a lot of occasions. That pass is dropped a little bit behind Jim Moore, the tight end, and now it'll be third down and 10. Let's take a look at the first half stats brought to you by the Discover Card. And you will see that Kansas didn't run the football.
Yeah, that's the glaring. The rushing yards of Kansas, only 40 yards. Total offense for Mizzou, 222. And the 2 turnovers have resulted in the 10 points that Kansas has on the board.
1 of 7 on third downs for the Jayhawks today. 2 to the near side. Roots out of the gun. He needs midfield. Blitz coming. And it's knocked down. Easter got it. Roots had a man open in Eric Van, but Kansas turned away again by the Missouri defense.
Ben Roots missed the opportunity to throw the ball on time. Eric Van was inside in the slot. He went down and then outside, and he just didn't throw it on time, and that's why the play was unsuccessful.
Dean Royal will punt it. Randy Potter back deep. He turns the football over. Good punt. Potter, and there's a flag down. Potter will cross the 40-yard line, get out to the 44-yard line. They're going to actually now mark him out of bounds back at the 38-yard line. A flag came in early, and it might have been interference or it might have been a clip. One or the other. Interference in allowing him to catch the football or a clip. I have a feeling it could be the latter. 14-10 our score, Missouri leading. With Steve Davis and Brian Nooner, I'm Drew Goodman. Final game of the year for these two squads at 4 and 6.
The flag will be picked up. He was blocked into the halo, into the 2-yard buffer zone. Therefore, no foul.
What we're looking, there's a 2-yard buffer zone. You've got to give him the chance to make the play. When he's blocked in, you can see that Easter, number 1, blocked him into the area, so that's why they took the flag away.
From behind, so you actually probably could have called a clip there.
23 yards on the return. 31st and 10.
So Missouri gets the good field position out at the 38-yard line. Ron James, the fullback. Brock Olivo is the tail. And Corby Jones to put it up. Thrown out in the flat was Zetnu Jenkins, and he turned upfield, fell to the ground. Hasn't been any rain in the area the last 24 hours, but when it's cold, sometimes the dew stays on the field, and obviously a pretty early start today.
Zetnu Jenkins, number 2, the inside man. This is a tough route for the Kansas people to cover. They didn't do a very good job. He pushed him inside. Great throw to have the touch by Corby Jones. That's where Corby struggled, in that touch throw of being able to take some speed off the ball and lay it in softly to a receiver.
2nd and 3. They pull a guard. Through the hole goes Brock Olivo. Into the secondary. Across the 40 to the 37-yard line of Kansas before Maurice Gaddy could drag him down. Little wrinkle block at the line of scrimmage, and Brock Olivo hit the hole in a hurry. Gain of 17.
Missouri is doing a better job in the offensive line, blocking the middle. Brett McGraw, number 70, gets blocked. Cope, number 57, gets blocked. Missouri just does a great job, and Brock Olivo just follows his blockers.
Option look, Corby Jones. He'll keep. Corby Jones, open field. He will go the distance. Touchdown, Tigers. $37-yard run to go with an 80-yard run for a touchdown in the first half. And there's a fired-up sophomore.
Norris will attempt the point after. Garnia will hold.
Mark Norris to make it 21-10, right down Main Street. I'll tell you what, Kansas has not been able to stop Corby Jones on the option today. And they knew it was coming. So Missouri opens up an 11-point lead early. 21-10, thanks to that man, Corby Jones on the option. He got a great block we're going to show you in a moment on the corner from Ron James as they ran load option. Hickman to kick off. And this is to the leading kick returner in the Big 12, Eric Van. Eric Van trying to get to the corner. And he'll cross the 35-yard line, and then he's hit out under the bench. Return of 34. Let's pick up the touchdown run again by Corby Jones.
First of all, let's hold it right here. We're going to get a great block right there and watch him come down the line. Nobody picks him up. This man takes pitch out here and watch the play unfold. There we go. Comes down the line, gets a great block from Ron James, 34, and nobody picks Corby Jones up. If you're going to take on a young option quarterback, you have to be disruptive. Don't let him get out in the corner and execute. Make something happen, pressure, penetrate. Kansas has not been able to make it happen for him.
Kansas has not scored a touchdown since their opening drive. Roots, he's got Van, and Van did a very nice job of finding the football. That was thrown directly over his head. And Steve, you know how difficult that is to catch. 22-yard gain.
Well, Ben Roots can throw the ball a touch ability. This is a perfectly thrown ball. He's got the matchup that he wants. He's on Kevin Ford, the bandit, number 30. No, excuse me, I'm wrong. He's on 39. Barry Odom, the linebacker, even a better matchup. So Van's on a linebacker. Perfect throw, just couldn't keep him in bounds.
Jim Henley straight ahead. Again, not a whole lot of room. Making first contact. And still down on the field. See if that's Joe Love or actually it's Eric Douglas. And you know what? He took a shot right to the head. Then he got a knee in the helmet when he made the play. Second down and 7. Douglas, senior from Compton, California. Guy who was buried on the depth chart the first few games of the season. He was a third-teamer, and he's not only moved into the starting lineup, he has played exceptionally well for Missouri the last few weeks. Ricky Hunley was singing his praises yesterday. Defensive line coach for the Tigers.
You have to have those pleasant surprises during the course of the season, and he has been one. They just say he's just played and really had a fine second half of the season. Good size, 6'5", 259. They're still a little undersized, but they like the idea of being able to have speed on defense, so they'll sacrifice the size to get some movement.
Right now the phone's ringing, and the other line won't hang up. 21-10, Kansas trailing by 11. They're on the move. Roots throws out in the flat right through the hands of Hosea Friday. Well, the book on Hosea is he'll make the great grab and sometimes the routine grab he struggles with.
Yeah, the coaches say that he makes the hard catches look easy, the easy catches look hard.
And it was illustrated on that play. Wasn't an easy grab, but it was certainly one, if you ask Jose, I'm sure he'd tell you he should have hung on to. 7 of 12 for Ben Roots. June Henley has been slowed considerably. 19 carries, just 56 yards. Roots has time. He's got Bird out there, and a flag comes in. It's going to be interference on Easter. The side judge throwing the flag. Bird trying to separate from the strong safety, countering off Easter. Also, Steve, one of the few times today that Ben Roots could set his feet in the pocket.
That's right, and they even had a blitz on it. I think there's no
Pass
question.
interference on the defense. 15 yards from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
Absolutely, Easter grabs him. I don't think there's any question. He wants to do an acting job to try to get a break, but no, he pulled him back.
So the 15-yard penalty puts the ball at the 23-yard line. Kansas yet to be penalized today.
And if Kansas is going to continue to be successful in moving the ball, Ben Roots has to step up. That's what's happened in this drive. He's making plays.
Two tight ends. June Henley trying to find some room. Maybe to the 20-yard line, that's all. Kevin Ford, Justin Wyatt there defensively for Missouri. Talk about a young team coming into its own. Get 93rd in the country against the Rush entering this afternoon's ball game. And June Henley's looking around saying, are these the black shirts of Nebraska or the black shirts of Missouri?
I'll tell you, teams that have worked well against Missouri, they've been able to confuse them. They've given their defense a lot of different looks, multiple wideouts, a lot of different things to look at. And Missouri's coaches, they've just reduced the package overall.
Blitz coming, Roots, end zone shot to Gordon, and he overthrows John Gordon, the freshman. Randy Potter, pretty tight coverage on the backside. Not something Kansas has done a few times today. Going to give a strong side look and throw back to the weak side.
Here's what Drew's talking about. Looking one way. Laying it up, trying to make a play. Again, Randy Potter. Here's Randy Potter, 21. This is only his third start. You know, the question was coming in whether or not he could cover the receivers. I think Kansas got to take more shots at him to challenge him.
3rd and 7, Henley cranking his legs, dragged down by Joe Love from behind. He'll be short of the first down by less than a yard. Again, Missouri selling out. They blitzed, and Kansas with the right call. They ran the delay to Henley. Brian Craycraft also there defensively. And Glenn Mason's going to keep his offense on the football field, trailing by 11 with 10:30 to go in the third quarter. 4th down and a full yard. This isn't one of those 6-inch, 8-inch jobs. He's got to get a full yard here. Roots, play action, looking to the end zone, touchdown, goody call. John Gordon from Ben Roots, and Kansas back in it. Well, they beat Randy Potter. They came right back to the same look.
Randy Potter had been struggling in the ball game all the way through. As I said, this is his third start, and the coaches really were concerned, you know, defensively, can he cover? And then John Gordon just did a wonderful job. What, as you said, Drew, a gutsy call by Kansas on 4th down and 1.
Let me tell you something. That is their 7th touchdown this year on 4th down. Riverboat Gambler, Glenn Mason. The extra point is good by Norris. And the separation is 4 again, 21-17. The Tigers lead the Jayhawks. John Gordon has made it 21-17. For Gordon, his 2nd touchdown of the year. Originally signed with Oklahoma. Your alma mater, Steve, from West Palm Beach, Florida. Now playing for the Jayhawks.
Really a big play. Watch the fake that comes right in here by June Henley. He's going to make a fake. This is 2 tight end set. They look, everything's going to be inside. Ben Roots does a good job to know that he's going to have a man either wide open or covered, and there's no doubt John Gordon. Here it is. Watch the fake by Henley. He jumps up like he's got the ball, and then Roots is able to be under control and throw to a wide open receiver.
That's one of those subtle things that you have to pick out. Good run fake there. 7 plays, 64 yards, kept alive by the interference call against Caldron off Easter. So Kansas needed to respond, and they do so. Got a good football game going. 10-12 to go in the third quarter. Kenyatta Williams from the goal line to the 20. Toppled there. So Missouri back on offense. Corby Jones has had a big day, over 100 yards already on just 6 totes.
Yeah, and if I'm Missouri, I'm going to run the option until Kansas shows me that they can stop my quarterback. They haven't shown had a propensity to be able to slow him down at all, and he has run wild on the option play. So just keep running at Missouri until Kansas proves that they know what they're doing in terms of being able to stop it.
That was Larry Smith's strategy, told us at halftime. Corby Jones, and it's complete to Eddie Brooks. Had a little wobble, a little Billy Kilmer look on the pass, but it got there. Jamie Harris was the corner, and Eddie Brooks has his 2nd catch of the ball game. You know, if you're following, if you haven't seen Missouri football, and you're checking in for the first time this year, at the start of the year and really through the first two-thirds of the season, Corby Jones was in a quarterback battle with Kent Scornia, and they split time. Scornia 6'4", more of a drop-back passer, but the job is this guy's now. And he's been pretty effective in the passing game today. Give it to Blackwell. And Blackwell running wide, still on his feet. Takes 8 white jerseys to bring him down. But that's not where he's most effective. He's effective when he has his shoulder pads square to the line of scrimmage.
That's right. Put the ball in the hands of a pure runner. You know, I just am, Corby Jones, here's a guy that was recruited by Nebraska. I mean, he is a prototype option quarterback. I mean, he would be perfect in the Nebraska system, and Missouri's made I think, a major commitment that around this player, they can build a kind of rock'em sock'em Missouri football offensively that they want to be. You know, have speed, the ability to run the ball 60% of the time, and yet to be able to throw those touch passes, play action passes.
Here's the option. Broccolivo on the pitch. And he accelerates for about 5 yards. Corby Jones took a lick. Jason Thorne made the tackle. That time they made sure that they had the quarterback.
That's right. A different strategy. Watch the press right here. It's a quick pitch. If you have a quick pitch on the quarterback, then you better have somebody outside to find that pitch man, because if you're going to force the action of the quarterback to pitch the ball quickly, then somebody's got to be looking for the pitch man.
Maurice Gaddy was inside out on the quarterback. 3rd down and 7. Split back, so Levo and Ron James. 4 come and the flat to James. James will have the 1st down and more. Ron James, get out of my way. Knocking down Rosetnew Jenkins and carrying Gaddy for about 10 more. Just the 7th catch of the year for James, in advance of 22. 255-pound junior from Clarence, Missouri.
This is a horror flick if you're a safety that weighs 170 pounds to see Ron James, 255 pounds. He barrels like a buffalo down the field, and you've got to go make the play. Good touch pass by Corby Jones.
When you're talking about Blackwell's speed at 250 pounds, this guy runs 4'6". He's not exactly a slouch. Option look, Jones to throw. He's got it complete. Jenkins out of bounds at the 15-yard line. And that was well delivered in front of Jason Harris. Now you have a confident sophomore quarterback, not only in the running game, but in the passing game.
Boy, Drew, that's a right statement to make, because Corby Jones really that's where he struggled in this area. Watch him take the pull. It was a play-action pass, looking like option, find an open man, and just lay a perfectly spiraled football right in the hands of Jenkins, number 2. There he is, isolation, coming across. No one's picking him up. He really gets lost in terms of coverage inside there by Jason Harris. Can't find him. Good play.
Broccolivo, small hole, pretty big gain. Give him about 6 to the 8-yard line. Broccolivo now 3rd on the all-time rushing list at Missouri. I think next in his sights will be James Wilder. And you remember James Wilder, he was quite a pro.
He was quite a college player.
You guys overlap a little bit?
No, I was a little bit ahead of James Wilder, but he was an outstanding player here at Mizzou. Dealt a lot of punishment throughout the Big 8 Conference when he was a player.
Olivo deep eye, ball on the ground. Jones lost it. I think Olivo covered up. Near disaster for Missouri. And you hate to sing a broken record, but this has plagued them all year long. Minus 13, you see minus 15, 106 in the NCAA in turnover ratio, and they've turned it over a couple of times today as well.
The ball just pops up, trying to get a counter play, did not secure the ball.
So now it's 3rd down and 6. They need the 4-yard line. Jenkins in the slot inside of Eddie Brooks at the top. Still Olivo and James in the backfield. Option. Olivo with James in front. He'll get in. Touchdown. That was a touchdown in flag football. Eddie Brooks out there, and also Ron James. Everybody scored. Well, Steve Davis, Kansas hasn't stopped the option look all day. 3rd down and 6. They came back to it. Same result.
Right. You don't see a lot of option. Kansas has not seen a lot of option. And if you don't see it a lot in practice, it's tough to prepare for.
That's Mark Norris playing his final game for Missouri, a senior. Good snap, good hold. He pounds it through. And Missouri out in front, 28-17. Border War, 105th edition. And the Tigers up 11. Big 12 football will return after these local messages. The man of the moment, Brock Olivo. Second touchdown of the day from 10 yards away. And now he's right back on the field to cover the kick. And watch, he'll be the first guy down. This is Eric Van at the 6. Olivo misses, but they bring him down at the 23-yard line. That's a guy, it's like the Energizer Bunny. His motor never runs out.
Here's what made the play work. You've got coverage right here. These two guys are covered. Man coverage. Now watch what happens on the option. No one comes to make the pitch play. No one's there for the pitch man. And Ron James, 34, just leads him in. I mean, several people could have scored on the play. Kansas did not have anyone for the pitch man.
Ron James, he was embarrassed, bashful. He said, I don't have anybody to hit. Ben Roots. Time breaking down. Isaac Bird. Flag comes in. There was a little behind Bird. He separated from Randy Potter, and the flag was thrown in Potter's direction.
Illegal holding on an eligible receiver by the defense. 10 yards, automatic first down.
What I want to know is, when is holding legal? There's a scoring drive. 8 plays, 79 yards. Brock Olivo. Guy who's eminently popular with his teammates. There's a hill around here that you need a significant 4-wheel drive vehicle to get up. It's called Brock's Hill.
You know, the coach is describing him. They say he's a role model. He doesn't date. He's on a strict diet. He runs after practice, after he's already run. You know, this guy's incredible.
That hill, nobody dares try to run up it other than Brock Olivo. Gordon on the dig route to the 40-yard line on the strike from Ben Roots. So Kansas starting to open things up. That was a pickup of 27. It had been June Henley right, June Henley left in the first half. Missouri had shut that down, and now Kansas under Pat Rule, Golden Pat Rule, their offensive coordinator, trying to spread the field.
And what we said earlier, that Ben Roots had to step up in the second half to make things happen. Missouri really is in zone coverage here, but they're playing it very softly, and that's why Gordon is in the open area, and Roots does a good job to find an open receiver.
Henley, the ace back. Waggle look again. Roots going to tuck this up and run it. He'll have the first down inside the 30 to the 28. Clayton Baker had to knock him out. Now Kansas has it rolling.
Run out of bounds by Baker.
Just throw you off balance a little bit. They have 7, 8, 9 in the box trying to stop June Henley. Let's get an injury update. We go down to the field to Brian Nooner. Brian?
Thank you, Drew. Number 30, Eric Galbraith for the Kansas Jayhawks. He's the starting fullback, but he's sitting this drive out because on a specialty team play, he just simply got his bell rung, and he just didn't know where he was at, so they've sat him down, hopefully he will gather his senses, but they haven't missed him this drive because they're moving the ball.
Right now, he looks like he's in deep thought, and that thought might not include Faurot Field. As June Henley goes straight ahead for a couple to the 25. I don't know if I've seen a game this year, maybe one or two, involving Kansas where June Henley has had this little room to work.
Missouri's front line is really doing a wonderful job of at least managing him. Where he's had success is being able to get outside. He's not been able to get the cutback play that he's a trademark for, and they've just done a good job in the middle of that Missouri front.
Second down and 7. Out of the backfield. backfield. Van, who lined up as a wing, gets it to the 22-yard line. It'll be 4 shy of a first down. Roots has a pretty good rhythm going, though, doesn't he, Steve?
Yeah, he's got to. I mean, the team believes in him. They're comfortable with him. He's got to step up and make plays to take pressure off of Henley, then take your shots. They've been able to work on Potter a little bit, number 21, the cornerback. They're going to take some other shots on some of the other younger players. Also, try to get some mismatches on the linebackers. That's why they've been trying to throw to the tight end.
There's Matt Johnner. He's played a lot of football this year for Kansas at quarterback. Today, his job to signal in the plays to Ben Roots. 3rd down and 4. Big play for KU. They blitz. Roots has it partially hit. They had this one read. Van was well covered. That's where they wanted to get the football to. Craycraft was there, and DeMonte Cross, the free safety, was coming on a blitz. So Kansas will go for 3.
What they were trying to do is get a screenplay over here, but it just can't work. Great job by by Missouri. Craycraft 59 to put the pressure on him. It just could not set up the screen quick enough.
So it'll be a 40-yard attempt for Jeff McCord. He is 1 of 1 from this distance this year. John will hold, and he missed it. He missed it, so Missouri able to stop Kansas, and their lead remains 11 points with 4:52 to go in the 3rd quarter. 28-17. They just pulled it a little bit. Let's check our season results for Missouri, brought to you by Nations Bank. The Tigers, in a rainstorm, hung in there with Texas at the beginning of the season for about 2 quarters, 2.5 quarters before the Longhorns pulled away. The game they'd like to have back is against Memphis. Didn't play well there. Hey, Clemson, that win, Steve Davis, a big one. Clemson has come on. They are now 22nd in the nation. And you see their last 2 losses, a lot of folks lose to Colorado and Nebraska.
They win that Memphis game and they win today. They would be a 6-team win for the season and be in position for bowl. So that's how critical those early games were.
Brock Olivo nearly broke into the secondary. Brett McGraw grabbed an ankle and held on. But you see, Brett's used to doing that. He's a calf roper. He's a rodeo cowboy, number 70, Brett McGraw. In fact, his brother and sister also cowboys. So if he gets your ankle, he's not going to let go.
Yeah, he's played most consistently in that front between Houston, McGraw, and Cope. They've really played. He's played most consistent all season.
They got 5 on 1st down. Corby Jones, here's the option again. Good cut there by Brock Olivo. He'll have the 1st down, out of bounds at the 35-yard line. Just stopped and let the pursuit swing by, and he cut it upfield.
What Missouri really got that time from Kansas, they were trying to slow play them, force them to the sideline, use the 12th man at the sideline, and string it out. And then Corby was able, the play is not worth much to them, but go ahead and pitch the ball and see if your back can do something. He finds a little seam. Kansas did a better job defensing the option, but again, Brock Olivo was able to make a little bit of play.
There's Mike Hankwitz, frustrated. Inability to stop the run. There it is again, Olivo. Spinning across midfield to the 47-yard line before Blevins grabbed him. This is a little option, but a lot of power stuff. This was an advance of 17.
This was a real concern of Mike Hankwitz, the defensive coordinator. The non-executing type plays, the ISO, the power, being able to get out physical. There you see the pulling guard, Mike Morris. He opens the hole for Olivo to move right through the middle. That's what Mike Hankwitz was talking about, that non-execution, just power football, and Missouri won that battle.
And Ronnie Ward's going off the field. He was shaken up. Fortunately, looks okay. Outstanding linebacker, leading tackler for Kansas. Well, 2 players now over 100 yards. The quarterback, Corby Jones, and Brock Olivo with a $112 on 14 trips. 8.7 per play for Missouri in this football game. Well, we'll have to figure out what went wrong on this particular play.
Dead ball. false start on the offense, 5 yards, repeat the down.
See, Tom Oller's a tough guy. It's cold today, folks. He can wear gloves. Doesn't have them on. 271 and this season, most in a long time. And last week against Baylor, they rushed the ball 70 times against Baylor and produced almost 400 yards on the ground. They're heading to 300 plus today. First and 15, give it to the fullback. Blackwell gets a couple. And if you look at the running back situation, we've talked about Corby Jones being a sophomore quarterback. Brock Olivo's back. He's a junior. Devin West is a sophomore. Ernest Blackwell is a junior. Ron James is a junior. That's a happy running back coach right there. Curtis Jones. They're all coming back.
Oh, they've got to be thrilled, and also with the fact that you've got a quarterback that's playing well. They're going to be able to go recruit linemen. I mean, really, in an option game, your linemen don't have to be those great type players. They can be, less than the incredible talented athletes because they're just walling people off in the option game.
And then it sets up your play action game. Jones trying to get to the corner. Ronnie Ward can't tackle him. Now he comes back and grabs him. But Mr. Jones got 7 or 8, close to the 40-yard line. That was a great effort by Ward. He missed a tackle once, got up and tracked him down from behind.
Corby Jones is a tough runner. Here's a guy that was recruited by Nebraska. I mean, he can run quite well. He's just like another running back. Puts the ball away, just go upfield, and he's physical. He's 216 pounds, 6'1". He punishes people. Smart, understands what's going on. He's the kind of quarterback Missouri wants in their system.
Olivo and Blackwell. Split backs. They'll run the option out of this look, and Corby Jones tucks it up. Nice gain, 35-yard line. Another first down for the Missouri Tigers. And with 1:37 to go in the third quarter, Kansas, if they want to hang in there, needs to stop Missouri. Time beginning to become a factor, especially if Missouri is able to put it in the end zone. And Glenn Mason has that concerned look on his face.
What Kansas has not been able to do is disrupt the activity of the quarterback in the option game. He's coming down the line. He's doing exactly what he wants to do. You've got to put pressure, penetration on him, force him off his path. Kansas hasn't done it so far.
Straight ahead, Olivo. Brock Olivo still going all the way to the 15-yard line. Give it to the hot back. He's got 20 there. This guy's got great leg action. He has less than 4% body fat.
Watch what the linebackers see. Missouri is doing a very good job when they're going inside and making plays. They're widening their splits and their linemen. They're creating natural seams, blocking angles, and they're doing a good job, and that's why you're seeing Brock Olivo jump in there into the secondary.
Blackwell, Olivo, a great block, and Blackwell spins to the 6-yard line. Brock Olivo knocked the linebacker out of the hole. Knocked him to the ground. Michael Allen made the tackle. Missouri just pounding it at Kansas.
Well, they're just beating them. What they're doing is they're blocking them, and Kansas can't respond. Missouri is doing a better job in the offensive line against the defensive front of Kansas. They are controlling the offensive line. Now Mike Hankelwitz's got to come up with a trick, a gimmick, a blitz, a stunt, something to set up, kind of work on the tempo of Missouri, get them out of balance.
Olivo dives ahead. He'll have the first down. First and goal at the 3-yard line behind the block of Rob Reedy. Kevin Komp, Jason Thor in the tackle. And the third quarter, well, there's still 9 seconds left. They'll crank up the clock. It will expire. Brock Olivo, he's been sprinting all over the field. He's not done. He's going to jog all the way to the other end of the field. 28-17, Missouri at home, putting a hurt on the Jayhawks. 28-17 Missouri. that's not a good sign. Going to the locker room for Kansas is their starting nose tackle, their best defensive lineman, Brett McGraw. He has a jammed hand, and they've been running right up the gut against Kansas really all afternoon. Missouri has a first and goal at the 3 with an 11-point lead. With Steve Davis and Brian Nooner, I'm Drew Goodman. Welcome to Columbia, Missouri, and the 105th edition of the rivalry between the Tigers and the Jayhawks. Power eye set. Olivo gets the call. Brock Olivo stopped shy of the end zone. Ronnie Ward. Also Jason Harris in the mass of humanity. Second down and goal. We haven't seen much of Devin West today. They've stayed with Brock Olivo. He comes in, he's going to have the fresh legs. James and Blackwell, the upbacks. Strong left formation, they run that direction, up and over the top for the touchdown. Brock Olivo is third of the afternoon. Olivo had 2 rushing touchdowns coming in. He has 3 with most of the fourth quarter still to play. Mark Norris, Kent Scornio hold. Steve Haig, one of college football's best snappers, will fire it back. And everybody did their job. 35-17, 14-17 to go in the fourth quarter. Missouri leading Kansas. 35-17. We apologize. We missed the kick. Out to the 40-yard line went Eric Van. Here's the touchdown again. Brock Olivo.
Watch the block of Ernest Blackwell. Right there. Stop. Right there. That block clears it up. Trying to clear it, boys.
The physical block. Roots throwing, and the catch made by Isaac Bird. That's a pickup of 19 yards to the 40-yard line. Good throw and catch. Barry Odom and Calgin Easter combined to bring it down. Third catch of the afternoon for Isaac Bird. Here's a big play guy that Kansas needs to get involved. Now, with 14:01 to go, you're not out of it down 18 points, but you had better put it in the end zone each time you get it. And Bird will flank out to the top of the screen. Roots staying in the shotgun. They twist up front. Roots is in trouble, and he's almost sacked by his own guy who actually held him up for a while. Held him up so he could be sacked by a Missouri Tiger, Donnell Jones. Well, I'll tell you something. Missouri has been extremely impressive rushing the football today, but they've been able to rush the football with success today. What they haven't been able to do is play defense, and they are this afternoon.
That's right, and they really have closed down. Good job by Justin White, number 90. I mean, what happened really, Ben Roots runs into Cleve Roberts, his right guard, and a little bit of self-tackleization by the University of Kansas.
Cleve said, get out of here. Let me stand you up, run the other direction. They go to Henley.
Whatever works.
And Henley cut down in the secondary after a solid gain. Knocked off his pins by Harold Piercy. He gets past Piercy, he might still be running. It sets up a more manageable third down. It'll be 3rd down and 5. They need the 30-yard line. 12:40 to go, clock moving. Glenn Mason glancing at that clock. Clock is stopped. Tom Allers wanted to discuss something with the umpire. Julius Bruce in the slot inside, Isaac Bird to the top, John Gordon to the bottom. They bring 4, throw it in the flat to Henley. He's got to get to 30, no room. Great tackle. DeMonte Cross, the all-time tackle leader at Missouri, put his helmet right in the chest of Henley. I tell you, Donnell Jones had pressure on Roots. He had to throw it quickly. Tell you what, that'll put a couple of divots in the old Missouri helmet.
That's the way they like it. They like to play physical football. They've got a tradition of it here in Missouri. They just want to kind of relive it.
4th and 5, dropped. Gordon had it and lost it on the slant route, and Missouri holds. And then flags come flying in as Wyatt was engaged with Scott Whitaker.
Dead ball, personal foul on the offense, 15 yards.
Well, it's all going south right now for the KU Jayhawks as we take a look at the Southwest Airlines storyline. Brock Olivo over 100 yards. Corby Jones over 100 yards. They almost get a first down every play, Missouri. And when Kansas has moved it, it has been a bit rare, but when they have moved it, Missouri has come up with key stops. DeMonte Cross made one, and then a pretty good throw by Ben Roots. It would have been a pretty good catch had John Gordon been able to hang on.
Missouri's pressure in their defensive front, Drew, that's made the difference. Really always keeping pressure and being able to tighten down on this offensive line of Kansas to keep June Henley managed all day.
After the 15-yard walk-off, Missouri has a short field. They're at the 50. Here's Devin West. He says, give me that football. I want to get some of this action. And Devin West carrying people for 8 yards. Brett McGraw is back in there for Kansas. DeMonte Cross firing up his teammates. Let me tell you a little story about this guy. I'm telling you, look at this. Game's not over, folks. That's a happy bunch, I'd say.
A byproduct of execution is the excitement and the emotion. And Missouri, they're wanting to build for their future. They ought to be excited.
Yeah, I would say, they're excited.
And they are. I wonder if they knew they were on camera.
Blackwell will have the first down inside the 40 to the 39-yard line. Ernest Blackwell for the season now over 500 yards rushing. That makes 4 players from Missouri over 500 yards. The quarterback, Corby Jones, Brock Olivo, also Devin West. Showed DeMonte Cross leading the cheers in there. He's had a great career here at Missouri. He barely practices during the weeks. He has arthritic knees, bone on bone, and not much cartilage left in either knee, but he gets it done Saturdays. There's the 500 club. First time in Missouri history. That shows you something. That's balance. It's a commitment to the running game.
The scary thought for every defensive coordinator in the Big 12 is all of them return next year.
Naked boot, Corby Jones trying to get to the corner. He will. Out of bounds at the 33-yard line. Chris Jones hung with him. 16 seniors for Kansas, representing 250 starts, playing their final game for the Jayhawks. Chris Jones last year had an interception and a touchdown against Missouri. The Tigers have 12 seniors. And you know, so often, and this is our fault, the media and as broadcasters, we always talk about guys who could play at the next level, who will play on Sunday. You know what? 97, 98, 99% of these guys, this is it for them. That's right. West behind Blackwell. He gets the call, and he runs right into Adrian Green, who goes about 285, and if you run into Adrian, you usually end up on your backside. Give you an idea of the future for Missouri. 9 starters among the 10 seniors on the 2 deep. And look at all the sophomores playing. Pretty bright future.
15 starters returning. They've got to be excited about the way they're playing in terms of, finding themselves offensively.
Jones running the option. He's got the corner. Corby Jones inside the 10. He'll get it to the 3-yard line. An advance of 30 for Jones. He's over 150 yards rushing today.
Trying to get the quarterback on the run. No one surfaces for him inside. Ronnie Ward's trying to make the play, the linebacker, and just no one picks him up. Kansas has really struggled in being able to stop the option play, either when it was a predetermined run for the quarterback or just a pure option play. They have struggled in their ability to match up. They don't see a lot of options, and it's tough to emulate it or to imitate it in the practice situations.
West in the power eyes, the deep back. Corby Jones wants to throw. Got a man, and it is incomplete, looking for Lingerfeld. Pretty good coverage by number 27, Michael Allen. He was not fooled. Bill Lingerfeld, tight end, was open for a moment. 35-17 our score, 9:22 to go in the 4th quarter. It's been since 1992 that Missouri has had smiles on their face, leaving the field against the Kansas Jayhawks. And it's looking more and more, Steve Davis, like this is going to be a very forgettable year for Kansas.
They never gelled as a team, were frustrated, missed opportunities, just didn't play well together as a team, had injuries, problems.
And number 6 is Kenyatta Williams, 3rd-string tailback. Takes his turn, gets to the 1-yard line. Kenyatta's a senior from St. Louis. So, if I know Larry Smith, he wants to try to take care of number 6 today. Get him in the end zone on his final college game. And he'll walk in or hop in. Touchdown, Missouri. It's the senior, Kenyatta Williams. (41-17) Missouri. Well, there's a permanent sign in the athletic offices, the football offices at the University of Missouri. And one of the things on that sign, one of the statements is, "Beat Kansas." In many years, if you beat Kansas, no matter what else happened, it made for a good year. Snap and hold, and the kick is right through for Mark Norris. It was a close football game at halftime, 14-10. No longer is that the case. 42-17, Mizzou. We're back after a word from Sonic Drive-In, where we invite you to drive in for a change. Missouri 42-17 over Kansas. I don't know how many folks who followed this rivalry thought it would be this one-sided today. They've run away in the second half. Kick it on the ground. June Henley grabs it at the 15. And he spilled at the 34-yard line. Barry Odom made the play, and Ben Roots will come out and try to get something going for Kansas. Here's a recap brought to you by Nations Bank of the KU season. 10-2 a year ago. Started out okay. Started out well, in fact. Then they were upset in a shootout in Salt Lake City. Came back and beat up Oklahoma. Then Tech beat them. Colorado, Nebraska. And in that time frame, they scored all of 31 points. And they're going to lose 6 of their final 7.
if you talk to the coaches at Kansas and what they really are pleased with some of the areas where they perform better, but the problem has been just inconsistent play back and forth between the offense and defense.
This is Mark Sanders with the football, and he gets about 3 yards. Brian Craycraft grabbed him around the ankles. Also Joe Love. Love, a senior from Austin, Texas. Sanders, he's a senior. He's from St. Petersburg, Florida. Kansas is recruited well in the state of Florida.
3 on the play. 2nd and 7.
Talk about Missouri producing about 20 Division I players a year. Florida produces about 250 Division I players a year. Get it out in the flat, very close to a first down. Hauling the football in there is Bruce.
I think the storyline of the game has really been the defensive front of Missouri and the inability of Kansas to take advantage of the isolation of the receivers on man coverage of the 2 corners. They just haven't been able to do it consistently today.
Roots complete to Isaac Bird. Nice grab by Isaac Bird, who, by the way, is distant cousins with Rosette Jenkins, who is the leading receiver for Missouri. Both were option quarterbacks in high school in the St. Louis area. Isaac Bird's quite an athlete. He was an all Big 8 center fielder last year for the Kansas baseball team. Hit .395. And he's an all-conference candidate in football. Roots, he's going to tuck it down. And Roots will get it to the 20-yard line. Guy who started his career at the University of Nebraska. Problem for Roots throughout his career has been knee injuries, Steve. This guy is a terrific athlete, but he has had 2 reconstructive knee surgeries.
Yeah, they really thought in the springtime before he got hurt his knee in the spring, they really thought that he would be the quarterback for the season, so he was slow coming back this year. Then he's had a tender shoulder. I mean, it's just been a series of problems that he's had to overcome physically that, changes the course of the season.
Henley, just a couple of yards. First drive of the game, we thought June Henley was going to have 400 yards rushing today. He had huge openings. Since that time, I think June Henley's longest carry has been about 5 yards. He's had 24 attempts for 82 yards. It's a little more than 3 yards a carry.
And one of the goals that we thought that was essential for Missouri is manage June Henley. He's going to get his yards, but be able to manage him, and they've done exactly that all afternoon.
Roots, good throw and good catch by Michael Chandler in front of Clayton Baker. And we go downstairs for a visit with Brian Nooner. Brian.
Thank you, Drew. As we're watching Kansas march down the field, it's important to point out that Missouri has really struggled closing out an opponent. Against Baylor, they had a 28-point lead. The Bears came all the way back and, of course, forced overtime. Missouri won the game, but they couldn't put them away in the regulation. Are we watching it again this week? Well, we don't know. There is 6.5 minutes left, but the Jayhawks are moving.
Roots thrown to the end zone. Touchdown, Isaac Bird. Bird ran a little out cut, and Roots delivered the football. So Kansas comes right back. Brian Nooner has seen Missouri play this year and knows that they have been outscored tremendously in the 4th quarter, but Kansas still has a lot of work to do. 42-23 with 6:20 left. And they will go for 2. They'll go for 2, and Roots will go out of the shotgun. Sanders and Henley surrounding him. And they'll get it to Sanders. The 2-point conversion is good. And it's 42-25, so the separation 17 points. It is still 3 scores. 6:20 to go. Here's a look at the Isaac Bird touchdown. Big 12 football will return after these local messages. 42-25 Missouri. Drew Goodman, Steve Davis, Brian Nooner. Time for our Sonic Drive-In play of the game. And the man with the grin on his face, sophomore Corby Jones on the option. This is in the first half, 80 yards to the end zone. Tying the football game at 7.
Corby has really done just a wonderful job. Kansas has not been able to figure out how to stop him in the option play. He's carried the ball 11 times for 153 yards, 9 of 14 passing, and a lot of those were touch passes that historically he struggled with, were beautifully thrown for 122 yards, so he's had a great day. 275 yards of offense.
McCord to kick off for KU. Kansas needs to get a 3 and out. And Missouri thought they were going to kick the onside kick, and they go ahead and kick it through the end zone. So Kenyatta Williams and Clayton Baker will not have an opportunity to return this. Larry Smith, he wants more of the same. Run the football and run the clock out. Up by 17 points. You want to hear a staggering number? They have had 14 plays today of 15 yards or more, including an 80-yarder that you just saw, a 37-yarder, a 30-yarder. That's unbelievable.
Well, Kansas just has not been able to control the Missouri offense, giving up too many big plays.
Olivo and James. Brock Olivo the call. And he lowers his pads and gets 4 yards. Kevin Kopp made the tackle. Senior from Rockhurst High School in Kansas City, Missouri.
I think if you're Larry Smith, you've really got to be excited about the way your team has played today. And also, this game probably represents a breakthrough for them because they can look to a real bright future recruiting. I mean, they're going to get new facilities, an indoor practice facility. I mean, make the improvements to remain competitive in the conference. I mean, they're on the right track, healthy track for Missouri.
Option, Jones to Olivo. And Brock didn't see much... So he took to the air. Patrick Brown grabbed him around the ankles, and he'll be very close to a first down. In fact, it is a first down. So Kansas needed to stop Missouri. Instead, Missouri has the chains move in 2 plays.
Brock Olivo is going to do whatever it takes as a player to make plays. I mean, he's the heart and soul of this football team. His attitude, desire. I mean, go jump just like you're going to go score to get a 1st and 10. That's the kind of player he is, and that inspires people around him.
They have now eclipsed 500 yards in total offense, the vast majority on the ground. They know they're going to run, and they still can't stop them. 5 more yards for Olivo. Tony Blevins, the free safety. Tony will be back next year. He's also from Rockhurst High School. They've turned out some players. Glenn Mason, after finishing 10-2 last year, lost his quarterback, Mark Williams, and of course had the injuries to the quarterbacks this year. Mark Williams graduated. Mark Williams had an extraordinary year for the Jayhawks last year.
Played real big, made plays for them, took the pressure off of Henley.
Olivo, he's going to have another first down. 5 yards of crack for Brock Olivo, who right now is over 150 yards. So Corby Jones at 153, Brock Olivo at 158. Clock moving inside, 4:23 to go. Well, in this conference, there are so many quality teams that the margin between winning and losing is slight, and Kansas is going to look back and see a number of games that they played a more complete football game, 60 minutes of football. The score might have been a little different. Last week at home against Texas, 17-17 at halftime, and they produced only 50 yards of total offense. Look at this, Michigan leading Ohio State. but they produced only 53 yards of total offense in the second half against Texas. And today they had a great opening drive. After that, they've done very little.
Glenn Mason's a really fine football coach. University of Kansas, they've got to give him the kind of support consistently to be able to improve their facilities, to go compete. Down the road, Kansas State's made incredible improvements. They've got to be able to do those kind of things at the University of Kansas to give him a chance and to level the playing field for the University of Kansas. Fine football coach and good staff.
He does have a good staff, and he has a number of coaches that have been with him since he started in Lawrence 9 years ago. Vic Adamle, Reggie Mitchell, Mitch Browning, Golden Pat Rule, the offensive coordinator, Dave Warner. Part of having consistency and success like Kansas has had the last few years, this year being an aberration, is by getting consistency in your assistant coaches, and they've had that. And Missouri has their quarterback of the future. He's sophomore Corby Jones. And he's going to throw it in the flat, whereas Zachary Jenkins will get out of bounds at the 46-yard line. Now, if you're wondering why Missouri's throwing it, that wasn't a pass to light up the scoreboard, but there are some folks in Columbia who felt that Kansas scored a touchdown late that was unnecessary a year ago. I just throw that out there.
That's right. And on the
just in case.
That's right. And on one of the doors in the coaches' offices, there were appropriately placed, or very visually uniquely placed, were quotes from Glenn Mason about last year and about his thoughts on Missouri football and the state of Missouri. And sometimes those things kind of come back.
1st and 10 for the Tigers. Brock Olivo gets about 3 yards. And it is a final. Michigan has upset Ohio State 13-9. Well, John Cooper has always struggled with the maize and blue. The Wolverines beat the Buckeyes today 13-9. Ohio State drops out of the national championship picture, and there's a whole lot of folks down in Gainesville, Florida that are pleased, and also a lot of folks probably in Lincoln, Nebraska, and also in Tempe, Arizona, as everybody will move up a notch. Inside 150 to go for Missouri. This is Blackwell. They wanted to get him more carries today, more touches. They've done that. That's his 10th carry of the ball game, and he has 65 yards. Now, this gang coming in, they have the rope, and I know what they're doing. They're going to make sure the crowd doesn't get to the goalpost.
They better get a bigger rope.
That thing's a string. Excuse me, let me rephrase that. These guys have the string that is going to stop some students that might have dabbled a little bit in some punch this morning, shall we say.
And there's been a lot of talk about, bringing those posts down, so it'll be interesting to see if that little rope works.
3rd down and 4, Corby Jones, Olivo on the toss. He'll pirouette to the 39-yard line, which is the line of scrimmage, so it'll bring up 4th down. Now, the crowd obviously wants Larry Smith to go for it. And you know what, they might as well run another play, because then Kansas will have about 1 or 2 plays. It's all academic, obviously. 42-25 our score.
I don't think they're going to hold them.
It's been since 1992 that the Tigers have knocked off the Jayhawks. And Corby Jones calls a timeout with 13 seconds left, and he's going to come to the sideline. Check in one more time with Larry Smith. Last week they took a step forward in beating Baylor in 3 overtimes down in Waco. Baylor, a quality opponent. They've knocked off Clemson this year, a top 25 team now. And another step forward in beating arch rival and quality opponent Kansas.
Very important step, and we talked earlier in the ball game about the 4-6 coming into the game, a half empty or a half full glass. It's definitely a half full glass for Missouri, because they've got so many positives to build on for the future. That young quarterback, 4 other backs around him, a plan, a coach, facilities.
And Larry Smith has a plan not only for the new facilities, that's going to happen. He has a plan for recruiting. He said, we need to get faster.
That's right. They're going to try to look a lot like Nebraska. Their style of play.
That's not a bad program to emulate.
No, it's not.
If you can do it.
And I would think Missouri is a program that certainly can do it. They've been down a long time, and they can certainly resurrect a great football tradition at Missouri.
And you know what? Glenn Mason has faced more adversity than this season. Glenn Mason will bounce back as well. Kansas still has plenty of good athletes in that program.
Glenn's got a lot of things that are positives. This has just been one of those years that they just did not gel, did not come together as a team, and they had some misfortunate things happen to them.
So it's 4th down and 3 with 13 ticks left. And Corby Jones going to keep the football. He'll have the first down. He slides down. And Missouri will run out the clock. They'll have to snap it one more time. And that is that. And I'm sure some folks here in the crowd wanted Larry Smith to throw the football and run it up. But that is not Larry Smith's style. In fact, we should point out, Glenn Mason did not tell his quarterback last year to throw the football. It was a run-pass option. He told him to run it. They won't even have to snap it. They crank up the clock, and that is it. The 105th edition of Missouri and Kansas goes to the Tigers.
So much for the rope.
Yeah, the rope's gone. The string is gone. Glenn Mason going over to congratulate Larry Smith. 2 fine coaches. And I think the goalposts aren't going to last. 42-25 the final. Missouri has defeated the University of Kansas. And for the first time since 1988, Missouri's won 5 football games in a season. Why you'd want to hang on one of those things, I have no idea. Hopefully everybody's all right. Let's go downstairs. Brian Nooner with Larry Smith. Brian?
Well, I don't know if you can see us because there's quite a celebration going on, but I am with Larry Smith. And Coach, for the first time since you've been here at Missouri, you're able to win this game. What does this mean to you and your program?
Well, it's a tremendous step. I think getting the 5 victories in the way we did it in the last half, the roughest part of our schedule. This football team just didn't quit, kept getting better, and they did it their way.
4 full quarters. That's something you preached all season, and it took all season for it to happen, but this was a game you wanted it to take place.
Could have been a better time, I'll tell you that.
All right, you got drenched over there on the sidelines. That was well, we're getting bobbed here, Larry. I'm going to let you go. You guys just enjoy the scenery.
Well, that's always the exclamation point, Brian, when the head coach gets doused. And Larry Smith will take that cold bath. 42-25. His Tigers have knocked off the University of Kansas. We'll be right back after this word from Dr. Pepper, and it's 85 Dr. Pepper bottlers happy to bring you this inaugural season of Big Ball. Big 12 Conference Football has been brought to you by Dr. Pepper and your local Dr. Pepper bottler. By Southwest Airlines with low fares on every flight, every seat, every day. And by Mobil Motor Oil. At Mobil, we've been changing oil for over 125 years. Our final from Columbia, Missouri and Faurot Field. The Tigers 42, the Jayhawks 25. The goalpost gone. They're headed to a frat house, or several frat houses. Our Dr. Pepper player of the game, Brock Olivo. 26 trips, 166 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He was terrific. In fact, the whole offensive lineup was terrific today, running the football. And Brock Olivo had several carries of more than 20 yards in the ball game. And downstairs, Brock Olivo is situated with Brian Nooner. Brian, take it away.
Well, hopefully we can get this interview in. Brock, accepting congratulations. I know this meant a lot to you to beat Kansas, being from Missouri and all.
Well, yeah,
first time.
Yeah, I did, Brian, but I wanted this most of all for the senior class. I mean, they're the guys that deserve it. They're the 12 best guys, we've ever known. They're great leaders. Since I've been here, this is the best senior class so far. I mean, the leadership and the integrity they've shown. I just wanted for those guys. I think all the underclassmen did.
All right, and I know, Brock, you're going to give credit to that outstanding offensive line, but overall, the running game was just hitting on all cylinders today.
Oh, it was awesome. And like you said, I mean, the O-line are the ones should be getting interviewed right now. So you people at home, you saw, man, you know how good they were. They were creating holes I could drive my willies through, so it was awesome.
You talk about the senior class, and indeed it is a talented senior class, but Brock, you've got so much coming back next year. 5 wins this season. You take a big step as far as the program's concerned, but the future looks pretty good, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, we only lose one guy in the offensive line. Well, actually, we lose 2, but one position at center. But, yeah, we got everybody coming back. We got young guys stepping it up. Those guys are some of the hardest working guys I've ever known. Plus, the offensive line coach, Harry Heastan, does a great job. So, my hat goes off to those guys.
And the type of person you are, Brock, I know your hats are off to Kansas in a very tight game today.
Oh, yes. Yeah, everybody, especially June Henley. I mean, he's a great back. It's kind of sad to see him go, but, I know he'll do good at the next level. So.
All right, Brock, go in there. I think there's a celebration awaiting you.
Yes, sir. Very much. Thank you.
Brock Olivo, 166 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns. Let's send it back up to you, Drew.
All right, Brian, thank you very much. Think that guy can sell your program?
He should. He's an excited player.
He's a good player also. Here's the updated North Division standings. Nebraska and Colorado, they'll meet next Friday. Kansas State at 5-2, 8-2 overall. They play today against Iowa State. Missouri, not in the cellar, 5-6. And there's Kansas, 4-7 overall. Tough division, tough conference. Brock Olivo was special today, 166 yards. We'll be right back after this word from Dr. Pepper, proud sponsor of the Big 12 championship game. Back at Columbia, Missouri, where the University of Missouri has knocked off Kansas in the 105th get-together between the two schools. Corby Jones, one of the players of the game, over 150 yards rushing, and he is down with Brian Nooner.
All right, I am joined by Corby Jones, and Corby, last year against Kansas, you kind of felt, well, I think you said you kind of gave him the game. This year, you took matters in your own hands, and early on, you established that this game meant a lot to you.
I don't think I took anything into my own hands. I think the plays were called to suit me, and I got a lot of great blocks early on, great catches by the wideouts. Everybody just went out here and just played with a lot of heart today.
For the first time this season, Missouri plays 4 quarters and you finish off an opponent. That was a problem, but not today. What was the difference?
The difference was I think the seniors motivated us last night. I think everybody took a lot of inspiration from what they had to say, and we went out there and played for them today.
Okay, Corby, we're going to turn this way, and maybe the camera can get a shot of us. I want to ask you about the senior class. You said they meant so much, but as you look at the roster, and you just being a sophomore, there's so much coming back, so the future does look pretty bright here at Missouri.
It looks real bright. That's why we needed this game today. 5-win season does wonders for recruiting. Beating KU does wonders for recruiting, and we're looking to build on the future. 5 wins should catapult us into next season.
All right, 1-1 against the Jayhawks of your victories here at Missouri. Has there been a sweeter one than this one?
No, I don't think so. I think this is the sweetest one I've had.
All right, Corby Jones, thanks a lot for joining us, and good luck next season. We look forward to covering you.
Thank you very much.
All right, Brian, thank you very much. Corby Jones, 10 of 15 throwing the football. He ran the football in a wonderful manner today, and I think he was a guy who was not that confident at the start of the year. We watched today, his confidence grew from the opening snap.
Oh, yeah, and I think what really was exciting about the way he played today was the ability, when he had to run the option play, he made good decisions, he was sound, he didn't make the mistakes. But the other thing in the passing game, you really become a great option player when you've got the threat to throw the ball. His ability to throw the touch pass smoothly and on time, on rhythm, that was what really set him apart today.
And that offensive line was tremendous because they dominated the line of scrimmage, and a lot of stuff was lead stuff, physical offensive football, and again, Kansas didn't have an answer.
No, they really didn't. I just think the ability to control both lines of scrimmages, that was really the key for Missouri. They just really dominated them, and Kansas just really couldn't put a force up on either side of the ball.
Yeah, I said it earlier, and you're alluding to it right now. The thing that was most impressive is that they played strong defense, because all year they've been a little suspect defensively, talking about Missouri. You knew they could run the football, but today their defense was terrific.
Well, the inside people were able to control, Kansas's offensive line. Kansas has been inconsistent. That's been their bugaboo all year long. They've struggled in that area, and I think Missouri took a physical game to them. That was the other piece that I thought really worked well for them all day long. They like to play really physical, and they did it today.
Another indication of that, they had 11 sacks coming into the football game. They depart today with 5 more sacks.
Well, I mean, again, they just were able to put pressure on the quarterback. They did not. What was really interesting about it is they weren't able to, give the quarterback a chance to make any plays. I mean, their pressure was coming from a lot of different directions, and we called a lot of different names. And then the ability to play solid in terms of coverage on the backs and the receivers, and that was I think, real important for them and their style of play.
Let's take a look at the final numbers brought to you by the Discover card. And the big number in terms of rushing, well, there it is, 412 yards. I was looking at the wrong one. 412 yards after rushing for 370-something last week, and June Henley held to 82 yards.
Well, I think Henley's production at 82 yards, Bird's at 73, and then look at the big number, 542 yards of total offense. And then for Kansas, they only had 5 yards per play, whereas Missouri was working off of 7.5. And then look at the domination in terms of time of possession. Missouri really had their way and really played a complete game, and that's not what they've done all season.
No, there's one downside to this football game, and there it is. Missouri is going to have to dig deep into their pockets and come up with 2 new goalposts for next year.
That's one facility improvement they'll not have a difficult time in doing.
There you go. We'll come back right after this timeout. 42-25. Back after this word from Dr. Pepper, proud sponsor of the Big 12 championship game. Back at Faurot Field, now empty. Missouri has defeated Kansas 42-25. The Tigers finish 5-6. The Kansas Jayhawks at 4-7. Back with Steve Davis upstairs, and you see the goalpost that came down earlier today. They have needed and wanted this kind of experience for quite some time. Missouri football so strong when you were in school in the early and mid-'70s, and now they have something to celebrate. And when you look at how many sophomores and juniors were playing, they have something to build upon.
Oh, and that's what they've got to be excited about. They're on the right track. This is confirmation. They're on the right, headed the right direction. I think that's a positive. And then the emotion, the byproduct of great winning. Get your fans involved, tear down the goalposts. Have the announcement to try to keep people off the field, and they don't do it. I mean, that's what it's all about for them. They need that kind of experience because that breeds wonderful benefits for the University of Missouri.
It's like a prize fight. You have a winner and a loser, and let's talk about Kansas because they were terrific a year ago, top 10 in the nation, 10 wins, and they were a preseason top 25 team, and they stumbled to 4-7. How do you get through the offseason and get to spring practice?
Well, I think that you learn a lot. This teaches you a lot. This makes you hungry as a football coach, and I think for the players that remain at the University of Kansas, this is something that they have to build upon. They'll rally together. I mean, they know what success is like. This is not a program that's down. This is a program that, had a bad year, just did not gel as a football team. They've got a lot of positives to build on. Spring, go recruit, build, add some facilities, do the things you've got to do, and go compete. And they can do that, and they've got a great staff and a great coach in Glenn Mason.
Sure.
Happen.
First year of the conference, it's been a successful first year. I think some people early on criticized the conference because they didn't win more games outside the conference, but there is so much talent from top to bottom, and when you look at teams like Missouri, which had been down in the past, hey, you got to show up and play Missouri.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, if I were a high school player, I'd want to be playing in the Big 12 conference. I want to go play where the big teams play, where the best talent is, and it's right here in this conference, and that's not promotion, that's the truth.
That is the truth, especially when you see see over 400 yards running the football. Larry Smith knew he had something when he took this Missouri job. He didn't have to take just any job. This is a guy who had been at Southern Cal and Arizona, and he knew if he came to Columbia, he had a good recruiting base, a great conference to play in, and he is turning it around.
Well, he's got the tools, and this is a great step for them forward to really turn Missouri football back around.
Steve, I enjoyed it.
Thanks, Drew.
42-25 the final. Missouri over Kansas today in Columbia. Coverage of today's game has been produced by Robert Steinfeld, directed by Kenny Miller. Technical director Richard Harlan. Our associate director is Tom Stoner. Associate producer Eric Josephson. Production operations Tammy Rippey and Judy Jackson in Houston. And our director of productions is Kevin Landy. The executive producer Patrick McClanahan. For Steve Davis and Brian Nooner, I'm Drew Goodman saying so long from Columbia, Missouri, where the Tigers have knocked off the Jayhawks by 17. This has been a presentation of Fox Sports in association